Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Salutations, everybody. It is Maddie here today, and welcome to episode 112 of Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast. Today, I am joined by Kazuya-san Main, Lord Cognito. Cog, how are you doing today?
Welcome to the King of the Iron Fist tournament. It's my joy. Let's go. They got to do a little announcer now. Like, yo, things are okay. No, thanks for that, man. We got Duke. A little earlier than usual.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm excited. We got lots. We happen to have a lot of stuff to talk about as of recording.
We do. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, for those who don't know the Defining Duke schedule, we usually record Wednesdays around 5 to 6 p.m., and it works out pretty well for us usually. We always joke the show's been snake bitten, but luckily we've been in the good graces of Xbox at the way they're timing showcases and events and announcements. It's just matching up with the Duke schedules quite well.
Yes.
But today we're recording on a Tuesday because this week, for those who don't know, is the Evening with Last Stand 2 event where they're going to cover the most overrated games of all time. It's going to be at Houston's Zilka Hall. I did announce it last week, but again, I won't be attending, but everyone else will be there. It looks like it's going to be a fantastic time. Because I'm not going, Locke has let me preview some of the materials that will be there. And you guys are in for some good stuff. I got a good laugh out of me, so I'm very excited for that. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled for the old additional content that might be a little unexpected, but it's going to be a fun time. Again, that's Friday, February 24th, and I believe it's being recorded where they'll post it like they did with the last live event.
So you got that little preview. You will be missed. I'll represent one half of the team. You know what I mean? But yeah, man. Look, I'm looking forward to it. And definitely the subject matter is quite interesting. The most overrated game of all time. So I pretty much locked down and finalized what I want to do. I just want to work on a little bit of my execution. May try to do something. I want to maybe see if I can do some things to make it better, but I don't want to mess it up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes simple is good sometimes too, so we'll see. But I'm excited to see what everybody's cooking. You get to see the LSM fam, you know what I mean? The whole
I pitched an idea to Colin for whenever we do another event, and I was just like, I have an idea that doesn't involve slideshows that might be really fun, so no one feels the pressure. And Colin seemed to really like it, so we'll see if that ends up being a thing we do. But anyway, I'm very excited for you. And let's just call out my super co-host here, right? You got the Hi-Fi Rush director. We got Cliffy B in the house right after 5-hour show. Man did DDU the night before with me, episode 105, live now, superhero size problem, talking about DCU, talking about Marvel. Now my man's here for DD, and he's traveling at the end of the week, all in a full-time job. Give my co-host his roses immediately if y'all haven't already. He is doing it all right now.
Thank you, brother. That actually means a lot that you said that, because I think a lot of people, not for like the congratulations of like a successful interview, it's just more so the sheer scope of what I do, and I think a lot of people don't really know. And sometimes I know people get mad at me, it's things like that. And I think what it is I've learned that I'm never going to make everyone happy as long as I'm honest with everybody and try to juggle and not completely kill myself. But yeah, it's been a month. It's been a lot going on, but very proud of what we're doing. And then once the plan is once March at the end of PAX, that I got to bring it down a notch, because it's just been, it is in content creation when things are just happening. You kind of just gotta go. You're in the zone. Like, it's just, even though you want to rest for
the opportunity.
These are those moments. So I'm like, and it just all lined up. And obviously we got the LSM event. So, but thank you for that. That means a lot that you care and actually acknowledge that. Because
absolutely, dude. You work extremely hard, and sometimes you got to call it out, right? It's why I tell people on the show when we're right, because I'm like, people will tell you when you're wrong, and they got no problem doing that. But when you're on your A game, you got to kind of pull it out of them. So sometimes it takes someone else bringing it to light. And yeah, you've been doing a ton lately. So kudos to you, my friend. I appreciate you still making the show under all that pressure. Superman right here.
My
All
God.
right. Let's just see how super you are, though, because John Warner has a great question to really start us off here. Really set the tone for the entire show. Then we're going
Here we
through some
go.
mobile game, or not mobile game, sorry, just some mobile reviews as promised. We got some new ones coming in, and we got a ton of news this week to go over. John Warner writes, though, hey, Dukes, have you ever put a splash of water on the toilet paper before wiping? A more clutch wipe I cannot ask for. Sounds crazy, I know, but think of washing your arm. Are you just going to go at it with nothing but dry paper? Thanks, John. So, Cog, I got to ask, man, we're going to get a little personal here. You ever just like, I'm not getting the right wipe here, need to wet it up a little bit, get a little deeper maybe? I don't know what's going on, but yeah. You doing a little splash of water on the toilet paper?
Oh man. All right. This is damn, John. You put business out because this has happened. This has happened. This is funny because it only happens when the situation didn't go as intended. If you know what I mean. So you have a situation and you're like, oh, this is not the premium cleanly experience. Yeah. So now we have to, and again, in the house, no one's not doing this in the public restroom, leaving the stall to go do something. This is in the crib.
Yeah, this is in the crib. Yeah.
Make sure everything's right. You know what I mean? You got to make sure. So yeah, you can't be skid marking out here. You can't be no skid marks, fellas. We know what y'all doing. Some of y'all is real grimy. You know what I mean? Yep. And, we just got to make sure that we keep things as cleanly as possible. So yes, embarrassingly, John Warner has exposed one of things I have done before. So yes,
no, I'm right there with you though. There's times you just don't. It's a feel thing. Like you just know not enough has been cleaned off. And one of my biggest fears growing up, man, was smelling bad,
bro.
I was smelling bad, bro. It was OCD though at one point. I'm not even using that term liberally. Like I would smell my arms, and if I didn't smell anything that smelled like perfume, cologne, like I'd start to panic, man, because like. And I blame all the stinky dudes who would just be pulling up in middle school. And I'm like, oh, God, like I can barely hold a conversation with you, man. Like you reek. Or the dudes who pull up after like first period gym and they just stink up a storm. It's awful. And so I never wanted to be that guy. I would sometimes even like skip gym class or not dress, even though I had my clothes with me. The fear was real. It was palpable. Yes. So, John, this was a technique I picked up. Sometimes, you're not getting the clean wipe. You got to go wet. Now, I've heard of things like dude wipes or people using like Lysol wipes, for example. I've heard about that stuff before. Have you ever explored that? Because to me, now we're starting to throw chemicals into the mix. It's a sensitive area. I'm very against this. Especially now I have a bidet. Like I'm extremely against this. But I'm curious for you. I know you're kind of anti-bidet, if you will. I learned that about you very early. It was a challenge for me to get over, but we know this about you. So I'm just curious: is the dude wipe in your repertoire? Is it in your arsenal rather, like posted up on the top of the toilet seat?
The dude wipe is not in my arsenal. The reason being is like it's like the texture. It's like it doesn't feel like I shouldn't say that because in full disclosure, I really don't utilize those at all. So maybe I used it. Maybe if I used it one day and I come to this eureka moment and you're like, yo, this was the thing I should have been doing all along. But to me, when you're in the crib, there's usually two scenarios for me. It's obviously your normal toilet paper dudes. Make sure you're getting a nice, a little aloe vera, a little nice soft, extra. Be sensitive, be nice back there. You know what I'm saying? Take care of the situation. You know what I'm saying? Don't be getting that 99-cent value Walmart. Don't cheap out on the toilet paper. I hate when you go to somebody's crib and the toilet paper is not up to that premium.
I never understood that. I'm like, that's a dangerous play, man.
Bro, all right, I'm gonna put Mama Cog. I'm sorry, I love you, but I'm gonna have to put your business out.
Oh no, the mom.
Mama Cog. One time I was over there, and she was because my mother's such a savings person. Like she got to get the deal.
Yeah, moms just do that. They'll risk it all to save a buck or two.
You got this damn savage sheet of paper. Like, what is this in this toilet? Like, why am I wiping with this? This is like Brillo. Like, sandpaper bag. Like, what's going on? To the point she's like, yeah, I had to take your advice because you're doing it so much with this rough, abrasive thing. You causing problems back there.
Yeah.
So she was like, I said, bro, I'm removing all your toilet paper because this is not a go. I said, here's the extra double quilted, the
He's that
super
Sherman.
sharp. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Here you go with that, it's his little aloe E on it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Put that, ever since she tried it, she's like, yeah, I was bugging. I'm never going back. Thank you.
I just don't know, though. That's the thing. Like, I have a friend who, until I bought one for him, never used an electric toothbrush. And he was like, "Yo, this is incredible. It's a game changer." I'm like, "Yeah, bro, go clean your teeth. Like this is nuts, man. Like, please, how'd you not use this?" So I just think some people, they try to save a buck or two. Especially the price of electric toothbrushes are ridiculous, mind you. Like I spent $16 on my Oral-B. It's insane. But
Oral-B.
I digress. They're really charging price, especially because when you replace the batteries, they still don't work as well. And get this, they charge $15 for an extra head for you to like remove after a couple of months and put a new one. $15?
That's a lot.
Ludicrous. So point being is I think some people just don't know. Toilet paper, the basic commodities in life. It's easy to overlook. The electric toothbrush, all that stuff.
You're absolutely right. And I love being your mentality. For the person that don't know, sometimes you just got to buy them it and just say, no, here it is. So that you take the excuse out the equation. You got it now. Now, did you like it? Did you try it now? And then they go, oh, no, you was right. That was it.
That's the best way to get someone on your side, man.
Exactly. Handle your business back there, fellas.
100%. All right, let's read some mobile reviews. Again, thank you to everyone who's been submitting. One of my goals this year, I'm going to stay hard and fast on it. I really want to get Defining Duke up there with the rest of the Last Stand podcast on the mobile front. Our video numbers are respectable. I want those to grow. But for us to grow on mobile, what happens is when your reviews come in, it pushes us up in the algorithm here. Like that engagement does move us up. When someone types in a D, we want our show to kind of be one of the first ones. If they type in a gaming show, we want one of ours to be up there with some of the greats, right? That's what I'm trying to push for there because that exposure helps us out a lot and brings people to the Last Stand as a whole. So it's something I want to be transparent about that. Like we are one of the smallest audio shows in the network. And I really want to kind of move it up now and take a true concerted effort. That's going to be a strong year for us. We've already shown through some of the announcements and things that are happening with Xbox. So we appreciate those of you who have been updating your podcast reviews like Kilgore Delta. Kilgore always writes into the show. Number one in my heart, best Xbox podcast, period. I listen every week. Couldn't ask for two better people to tell me Xbox goodness in my ear holes. If you like Xbox and you like skinny, redheaded white guys and yoked, giggly African-American men, then this show is for you. That's ridiculous.
I gotta be yoked and jiggly. Damn.
Yeah. I think I misread it. Giggly, not jiggly.
Giggly, I do.
Yeah, you're not jiggly. Sorry, that's
definitely.
I misread the G with the J.
You're good. Yeah, Cog always laughing. I love to laugh. That's why me and King have been the bestest of friends. Like if you can make me laugh, I'm your friend for life.
It's a wrap.
Mm-hmm.
More than Xbox, writes Aaron T. Sosa. I don't have an Xbox, never owned an Xbox. However, the conversations between Maddie and Cog go beyond Xbox most of the time. It's a really great gaming podcast with great conversations. We love that. We'd love to hear that, right? We'd love to know we're doing a good job for all, not just our Xbox brethren, if you will, our fellow bots.
I agree. That's always the ones that hit harder. People are like, yo, I don't even have an Xbox, or I'm thinking about it, but I love listening to you guys. That's like the ultimate compliment.
This one, I'm sorry, I can't read your name. It's literally a bunch of random letters. We'll take it though, because y'all don't got to make an account. Just submit the review. It's great. A weekly joy. As someone who finds the Xbox ecosystem as exciting as reading a thesaurus, I still tune into DD every week to keep up with some of the interesting news, but most importantly, to listen to two fantastic hosts. Cog seemingly never runs out of charisma, smiles, and laughs. Maddie writes, organizes, and delivers the show so cleanly that I never lose track of what's being talked about. But definitely, the best part is their dynamic. Love the friendliness all around. They make me want to dust off my long-lost Series S. And see, Cog, you were talking about pleasing everybody. I saw one of the top comments on the Patreon post last week. Apparently, the hug box needs to go here. We need a third host to break up the two lovers.
The lovers, yeah.
But then you see something like this, you're like, who do you listen to now?
I know. It's split. Well, I don't know. I think it's more than. I don't know. I shouldn't say that. I should say I'll start to analyze more to see what the actual split is.
Yeah, don't even worry about it. That's my job to put my finger on the pulse and just see what everyone's thinking about us. All right, last one. We'll get into some gaming news here. Best Xbox podcast. That boy Rick 7 writes, it's definitely the best Xbox podcast out there. The chemistry between Maddie, Cog, is fantastic. It's truly a show I look forward to every week, in addition to Defining Duke Ultimate. Thank you, Rick. We appreciate you. And we appreciate everyone. This is your way to get in if you're a free listener and you want to hear your name on the show, you want to write in something a little funny or just be sincere, whatever you choose. This is it. This is how you do it. Look, I'm giving you a workaround. I'm saving you $1, even though you should really sign up. But anyway, that's how you get DDU and all the other fantastic LSM shows, including ours, early. We appreciate you. Cog, any last thoughts, or shall we get into the gaming news now?
No, let's get to it. I'd love to hear it. Thanks to everybody that pulled up and sent some love. Much appreciated.
Absolutely. All right. First one on the list, a little obscure, but we want to talk a bit about Game Pass here. Sword and Fairy Together Forever is coming to Game Pass July 6th, 2023. This is like a mythological Chinese action RPG. Actually looks pretty solid. It's already out on PlayStation, but it's coming to Xbox, and it's arriving technically day one for its Xbox release on Game Pass. So you can look forward to that July 6th.
Yeah, that looked good. I ain't gonna front. I'm glad you put me onto this. I was like, damn, I didn't even know about this.
Yeah, right. I was the same way. When I was writing the script, I was like, it's coming day one to Game Pass. I went, let me just double check. This is what I did, right? Double check, because this is the moment where you can make or break the show. And I look at it, it's like 6 months ago, launch trailer for PlayStation. I went, oh, okay. So I guess it was already out there. But this is new to me personally.
This actually looked like JRPG Naraka Blaypoint.
Yeah, bro. I got to download it, man. I'm going to give it a whirl.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah. I'm trying. I want to get to my COG games. I want to do Midnight Suns sometime this year. I don't know when, because based off what you're saying, it sounds like a big commitment. But I want to get to Midnight Suns definitely, because that's one I snoozed on, man. I had that business decision in the winter break. I went for Cold Steel 4 just to finish it out. I'm glad I did, but that was like Midnight Suns territory. So I want to do that. I want to do Naraka. So just so you know, got them both downloaded. It's funny you brought it up. It was confirmed during IGN's FanFest that Valheim is coming to Xbox Game Pass, as we already knew, but it's on March 14th. So you can look out for that one.
Cool.
Got the first Xbox Game Pass game of 2024 confirmed, Magical Delicacy. It's like a sprite-based 2D platforming cooking game. It looks interesting. Definitely, I don't think going to skyrocket the top of anyone's hype charts, but it looks solid enough. And so there's your first 2024 Game Pass game already. Yeah, crazy how this stuff already happens.
Charm and pixel art type joint.
Now, moving past Game Pass, we got some leaks, if you will. I'll put leaks in quotes. Starfield. Let's just say the anticipation grows as these smaller leaks continue to gain traction, man. I mean, they're usually ones that get snuffed out quickly, but I think it's showing the community wants something. So there was this picture of a almost blonde woman that looks very much like the woman you saw speaking to you in the trailer when we saw all of that gameplay last summer showcase from Xbox. And a lot of folks went, oh, it's a cinematic trailer. They're about to drop it during a sports game, or they're going to put it out during the Developer Direct. It turns out this was created using Midjourney AI. And a lot of folks are like, what? I mean, to me, it didn't really look... I don't know why Bethesda, after gameplay, would do cinematic. At least in my head, that doesn't make a ton of sense, because it just seems like a pointless investment. We got to sell us more on the game. But COG, another fake Starfield leak in our hands now.
The thirst is real. Everybody's anticipating. We know. The Super Bowl contingent has now died down. The reality is setting in. So people are just, you know what I'm saying? They chomping at the bit. I get it. I think we will hopefully get this showcase soon, or at least the announcement for the showcase. That's my feel. Like something's got to be coming.
I hope so. I hope so. And we actually have a small update on it, but still worth bringing up, because I know, again, as Cog said, the thirst is real. So let's get into it. We got over on the Bethesda Game Studios Discord, a good friend of mine, Vault of Daedalus, who works at Bethesda's UK branch, wrote, quote, "We'll have more info to share on the showcase when it's ready to be. Still sorting stuff out for it. I know that's not the answer you want, but nothing specific is being withheld," end quote. So kind of one of those updates where the update is there's no update, but I view it more as assurance that there hasn't been a snafu of any kind, that nothing's really holding them back outside of just preparing the show, which I think, again, if they're going to go for that shooting quality that we saw with the first Developer Direct, these types of things will take time, as I suggested. But COG, any emotions with this one? Does the anticipation grow for you, sir?
excited, but again, just like you said, like no bad update. Like, oh, it's just hey, nothing to show at this time, but we're still working, we're still cooking. I think it's coming. I think it's coming. And rather than again take the time, do it
Mm-hmm.
right, showcase it in the best possible way. So yeah, I'm not too worried.
100%. So I'm in the same boat as you. Bethesda did make an announcement. We do have a write-in from Dark Rod 99 on it. They announced Mighty Doom, which is developed by Alpha Dog Games. It's a single-touch, top-down shooter coming out on March 21st for Apple and Android. This is significant because it does mark the first game out of Alpha Dog, which was a candidate for many, including myself, as a possible developer quietly working on something like a Fallout remaster. No one really knew quite what they were doing. They are making a mobile Doom game. Now, Dark Rod 99 writes, hey, Dukes, it looks like the Doom guy, I almost said the Dong guy, the Doom guy is coming to mobile devices with a, quote, new game, end quote.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't Mighty Doom release before, or am I mistaken? What do you make of this game? Is this a good step for Microsoft into entering the mobile market? And what other franchises from Xbox could benefit Microsoft having it on mobile? Have a, I wish I had enough time to play all these games coming out kind of day. Dark Rod, this did not come out previously to my knowledge. I tried to look into it for you. I think the game you may be thinking of is Commander Keen, which was announced by Bethesda and then canceled subsequently following a lot of backlash because it was this classic game they brought back that people went, what is this? And it was not received quite well. And this was also in the mix of like Fallout 76, so they weren't doing too hot, to say the least. So it was definitely not a well-timed announcement. But Cog, Mighty Doom, little mobile game here from Bethesda. Do you like what you see here? And what else do you think that they may be cooking over at Xbox and Bethesda in the terms of mobile games? Because this is something they've said they really want to get into. It's why they want to get Activision Blizzard King to get that Candy Crush cash. But what do you make of a first plunge here into mobile gaming, really?
Yeah, Bethesda was kind of messing around with this even pre-acquisition. So I'm not surprised here. The only thing that actually made me upset is if you watch this trailer, the first like 30 seconds to it looks like the most adorable, dope, like mini Slayer kind of. I don't know. It had like a Lego kind of vibe, but it was just action figure. And I was like, yo, I thought that it was a cinematic, but I thought that was going to be the game. So I'm thinking this is like a spin-off parody Doomslayer. We not, taking ourselves serious. I was like, oh, that actually looked kind of cool. And then it became, all right, a mobile top-down Jason. So they lost me there. You know what I'm saying? So I was just like, yeah, I'm not interested. But the people should watch the intro to that trailer for it because it actually looks really cool. I wish they made a game based on how that cinematic looked. I don't know how you felt about it.
Yeah, you read my mind completely there. That was 100% where my head went. The first opening moment, I went, oh, this kind of works in a weird way. Part of me that I didn't really expect, but as it got into this top-down, cheap kind of vampire survivors look, I was like, really? Man. So March 21st for Apple and Android, pre-registering. You can pre-register now if you're interested. But this is what Alpha Dog Games is up to. And I respect Bethesda's willingness to dive into the mobile market because they're usually fair with it. I really like what they did with Fallout Shelter, of course. I think that's like still a pinnacle in mobile games. Like I really don't think they monetize that in an egregious way at all. Elder Scrolls Blades was the opposite. It was one of those, oh, cool, first-person dungeon crawling. Oh, you made it really grindy and paywall. They fixed it much later and made it better, but by that point, the player base had really dropped off a cliff. And so their IP experimentation always kind of baffles me. I feel like they have so many different ways they can go with it. I think of Elder Scrolls and the plethora of spinoffs they could do with that, but they make something like Elder Scrolls Legends, which is a Hearthstone style card game, which wasn't bad, by the way, but definitely not. I think Elder Scrolls RTS just writes itself. That's so obviously just according to the lore, a thing that should exist, but they go in these more monetization focused directions. And so Doom is headed that way as well. Again, March 21st, Apple, Android, if you are curious. But other franchises that Microsoft could benefit from having on mobile, man, it's a really tough selection to make because to me, I don't think my brain works in that way. I think of the cool, fun spinoffs. I think with mobile, you have to think business first, right?
Yes.
Not that there aren't fun mobile games or true games on a mobile platform, but I feel like you got to think business first. So you get something like Doom Guy where at first it looked okay, but then I saw the menu of all currencies and I went, why? Like, Jesus Christ. I know it's just
Yeah.
any other mobile game, but to me, that's an immediate turn off. So I don't know if
Same.
I have a really good answer for where Xbox could do mobile games. I'm like, go make more spinoffs. Like, don't do a Halo mobile game. For God's
Yeah.
sakes, go make a Halo spinoff first before you do mobile. You got to earn the right to monetize, in my eyes.
Yeah, look, I mean, sadly, I know nothing about that market and why it's successful, and the things that really hit doesn't make sense to me, and then the things that I think would make sense don't really resonate. You know what I mean? So it's just like it's such a different market. Again, it's that mindset of people who most likely are never going to buy a console. It's quick in, quick out. And I know people like that. I know people who are not traditionally hardcore gamers, and I'm like, what are you playing? It's some weird little cat game. I'm like, yo, what is going on? Like, and they love it. It's like, oh, Kong, I'm super addicted to this thing. All right, look, but it's good to monitor to see, and then you see also. I see a lot of women, a lot of are on mobile, like these quick little games and stuff like that. So it's definitely its own market. It's just different, man. I wish I knew the secret sauce. So I see why Microsoft try to get involved with their as much as possible, as including Bethesda.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But that's what's going on with Bethesda, Mighty Doom, and Alpha Dog Games. So that's one question mark removed for us. Now we move on to Activision Blizzard, certainly going to be a focal point today, but we learned in the last week that remote work is coming to an end at this company as employees are expected to return between April and June in some form or fashion, depending on the studio you work at. But we're starting to see things unwind. A lot of displeasure was expressed online, COG, as I'm sure you saw. And Bungie was out there reminding folks, we made all of our stuff as of late all in work from home environments. So it seems like some companies are going, this is for the best. And Activision's trying to go back to basics or at least split the sometimes in the studio, sometimes at home. What do you make of this? Because I know for you, you kind of briefly went through that, right? Where you've been working from home, you had that kind of work life, in and out of the house, at an office at a certain point in the day. So for you, like I've always worked remote, so I feel like my opinion's almost not really useful here. I'm curious for you as a working man, what you make of this.
No, it's a good question. Thank you. I think what it is for me, it's an adjustment because as someone who's been a 9 to 5er, so to speak, for a long time. And then I was a night shifter, but I always was a person that had to go into the office. I went into the office, you get things done. You become a creature of habit, and there were advantages of it from a collaborative standpoint. But I have to admit, like when the pandemic hit, and then I transitioned and became like a full-time remote, employee, you have to mentally, change a lot of things, the way you operate. But actually, I get more done, to be honest. I do get more done. Now, the push-pull is sometimes when you work from home, you become a little bit more of a workaholic and you need to police yourself. Be like, yo,
Yeah.
you didn't eat breakfast. Yo, you didn't eat, like, go to the gym, like, do something. Otherwise, you're sitting. You're stationary. You're not moving a lot. So you got that. But as far as, like, game development, I got a lot of people in the building at Bungie that I know, and they tell me, they're like, look, there was a little adjustment period at first, but they shipped a lot of their product. Witch Queen was one of their best products, and they did that remotely. Lightfall's coming up, it's remotely. And what's happened now is what I think is twofold. The corporation say, hey, why are we paying for all this office space? Right? We can save this money. You can do all this stuff here. And then obviously the Zoom call stuff. The only negative I'll push back a little bit is there is some benefit to some things in office, whereas you don't have to play the game of telephone all the time.
Yeah.
Like, all right, man, did you get this? I sent you that. Okay, boom, boom, boom. Okay. And sometimes it's like, hey, let's jump on a quick call. Let's just try to iron this out so we both on the same page. Sometimes things get lost in translation. And I know sometimes, where I'm at now, we'll do a summit every now and then, like maybe quarterly, to go and just meet, and we'll iron things out much quicker on some things you can do completely remote, and then other things that I feel it's good to synergize in person on a page, but you don't have to do it every day, and people like the convenience of being home. So I was interested to see Bungie push back. Like Bungie wasn't even minding their business. Like Bungie's like, yo, we don't like what Activision Blizzard talk about. Like, why y'all making them go
Yeah, they
back to
were
work?
involved.
Yeah, like I was very surprised to see how their response was very aggressive against this, and I think the industry may be changing towards this. So we'll see. What do you think about? What was the energy you were seeing like online and stuff? That's the only one I saw specifically with Bungie.
A lot of people were upset about it, and understandably so, because I think, yeah, you're right. The work-life balance is tough. You get people who kind of turn into, I don't know when I can and can't pull away. You skip a meal pretty easily. In my experience, I mean, it depends, because like for these big AAA games, I can't even fathom the challenges they had to go through as they switched to remote. For me, like I work with a team of 7 on my game, so it's a lot easier to manage that versus the multi-hundred person team online. I can't even fathom that chain of communication. So I understand why they may want, hey, let's all get into one place, and it kind of lets them hammer out issues quicker. But in the terms of farming talent, for example, when you're just, let's say, forcing everyone to come to an office, you got to get the best talent from a specific area. Instead, now you can look globally. I work with someone who's in Japan, in Texas. That's awesome, right? Like, I think that's great that we have those connections globally, and I'm sure Activision does as well. But I just look at that type of stuff and feel like you lose the ability to gain talent, valuable talent at the cost of paying property taxes, maybe, when you should probably just scale down the offices a bit and just, again, have this, maybe the splits be, 4 to, what would you say? We're doing 5-day work weeks, like 3 to 2. I don't know, something along those lines. But ideally, I think workers should just have the choice. And then on certain days, if like the boss man goes, hey, I need you to come in this day because we as a team need to go over something, then if you're in the area, you can do that. I just feel like that's probably the best way forward. But what do I know?
No, good points. It's especially about the talent, because now you're seeing people now like, hey, if apply, like I might not be even interested unless it's a remote position, and you lose out on talent because now people are now accustomed to it post pandemic. So, and a lot of people don't want to have to commute and deal with the day to day, and then talk about relocation, homes.
Yeah,
It's
you
a
remove
lot
that
to it,
risk
right?
now.
Yeah.
Family's a little more steady. I just feel like, when you, from my perspective, when you force that type of working in the office environment, when we've all adjusted, it removes a fluidity that we've had to adapt to that's actually been beneficial. Like, not that COVID was a great thing, but I feel like it almost helped us get to a necessary area where we can work in an environment we prefer. Like I'm trying to get pre-approved for a loan for a house, and the guy I'm speaking to he works from home, and he's like, yeah, they get way more out of me now because I'm just like in my pajamas, just enjoying my time at home. And I just feel like you got to cater to the employee at that point, especially in creativity. Like, you want to, without squeezing the life out of them, get the most out of your employee. Like, what can you do to help them? Do you do your best work in an office? Do your best work at home? And it's for, at home, you kind of force them to be responsible for themselves. And some people love that.
Yeah. No,
So
good point.
that's what's going on with Activision Blizzard. Much more on them later. Let's talk about Recore. Recore, for those who don't remember, this was an Xbox One exclusive that came from Armature, who's now owned by Arma as of October of last year. So yeah, big boy Meta coming in. And they being Recore, updated their Instagram for the first time in 5 years. It's a piece of paper with writing on it, identifying rows 1 through 9 with cryptic text on each of the said rows. The caption reads, quote, anyone know what I'm up to with this cryptic code? End quote. Adam Turley writes in, the Recore Instagram just updated for the first time in years. Any love for this game? Personally, I liked it a lot despite its many flaws, and I've been hoping a sequel would turn it truly into a great game. And there was, Adam, a definitive edition, which I know helped the game out a lot. It came out a year later, but I find this to be hilarious. This photo, for those who haven't seen it, you can see it's written like as a piece of paper on the arm of it, looks like a leather couch, and you see like part of someone's leg that looks like pajamas. I'm like, I think it just might have been hacked, is my theory, because the Twitter hasn't been updated. It's just Instagram. I don't really see anything to this, but Cog, what do you make of this? Are you hoping for a little more Recore in today's industry?
I didn't really rock with Recore like that, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I am a firm believer of that Xbox One era as the lost era. A lot of hashtag just ones that did exist during the Xbox One era, and they just died off. There was no sequel, there was no follow up. I think Recore deserves it. I mean, if they were willing to to put the investment in. I remember people said it was solid, but they may be missing a few things here and there. I know people who love it. So yeah, I think they deserve it. But yeah, this I don't know what to make it. There's a part of me that's like, are they trying to be cryptic? But then another part of me is like, is this just somebody on their couch and somebody used the phone to snap something at the wrong time, had the wrong account open? Like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
It's
man.
very weird.
I don't know. After being acquired by Meta, you're telling me 5 years later, Recore is back, and it's through a piece of paper with an off-centered photo with a leg in the back. You see the wood floor in the background, like,
yeah, like
this is some promo on a budget. That's for damn sure. But like, holy shit, man! I personally don't see much in it. It's definitely worth bringing up, though, no doubt. And Adam, to your question with Recore, I wasn't crazy about it. I thought it was, like many people, a letdown, especially knowing that I can't believe I'm spacing on his name, but the guy behind Mega Man was behind.
Mega Man creator was behind it.
Yeah, was behind this, and I was very excited for that. I love Mega Man, but I also love the character's name, Jewel, like the main character name. I just thought it was a great one. But it had personality. A lot of things that held it back were really the tech things. The definitive edition is much better. Like, if you were to give it a number score, it would probably bring it from like a 5 out of 10 to a 7 out of 10. You'll still note it's flawed. But originally on the Xbox One, for example, if you died or you had to restart a checkpoint, you'd have to wait 2 to 3 minutes. It was so terrible, man. It was really frustrating. So the game was not optimized at all. They did a 1X version, I believe it was, and got it right, technically speaking. And so it might be worth a try now, but even at its core, I didn't really love its ideas and its execution much in the first place. But do you have any love for Recore at all?
Like you said, not really my bag, but I'm one of those guys that, even though I'm not going to be a hater, for the Recore gang. Look, if this is the cryptic return, you know what I'm saying? God bless, you know what I'm saying? But hopefully y'all get what y'all want. But yeah, for me, it never really resonated with me. But look, people like it. So
this is how I'm going to tease my video game. I'm going to take my sock off and put my foot in the background with like a piece of paper. Can you tell what game I'm teasing?
You know what I'm saying? Piece of leftover food in the back. You know what I'm saying? Some toilet paper. Like, what are we doing? Like, these are the reviews now? Like it'd be funny though if we're wrong and like a hardcore Recore like nerd is listening to this, right? Shout out to my Recore nerd.
Yeah.
Like, row 7 and 8 represents the storyline from da 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 da. Oh my God, they do it. Like, what if it's really like it's some
I don't know. I looked into it and someone said it was about knitting. Is what the code meant. I don't know.
Because that's what happened in panel 2 of the
Jewel
ending.
loves to knit. It's the sequel setup. I don't know.
It's the sequel. You don't even see it, bro.
Well, I guess we'll see in due time, or this will fade away. I have full confidence. Like this can't be anything. There's no way if they're teasing more Recore that this is how they're doing it. I just can't. Please look up Recore game on Instagram. Look at the photo and tell me you think this is.
Bro, I'm looking at it. I've been looking at it the whole time.
No, I'm just saying for the listener. Like, if you got time, look it up. And I'm telling you, if you see this and think it's an official tease, bro, I mean, God bless.
It's so funny to me. It looked like someone wrote out a workout plan. Like, I'm on really row 6. I'm doing 4 reps, 4 rolls. Like. That's what it looked like to me. The workout in me looked like somebody wrote out their workout plan for the gym in text me. But hey, we'll see. It'll be fun to be wrong on this. I would
love to be wrong on this because I would have a good laugh at just how, if they drop an insane trailer, oh, this looks fire. Recore's back. It's one of the big Xbox exclusives. I feel like, no.
LSM. Bro, if we all wrong, I want a Recore nerd to come and be like, see, you guys are clapping.
Give us the smoke. Give us the smoke.
Give us the smoke for this one, for sure.
Diablo 4, it's coming out in June and announced during IGN's FanFest that there will be a beta, as this had been reported ahead of IGN's FanFest. There will be an early access period from March 17th to the 19th, and the beta will be open to the rest of us March 24th to the 26th. So pretty excited for this one, man. Normally, I don't care about betas. I'm like, yeah, we'll see you at launch, but Diablo 4 looks so quality. I'm very excited for this one. Are you going to be diving in, good sir?
Definitely. And then this is the homie Rod Ferguson, and we just had obviously Cliffy B on ILP, and he has so much reverence for Rod Ferguson. I have a lot of reference for some people, but for Ferg, bro, I affectionately call him the closer. Like, he gets things done in a hectic schedule, and to see what they're cooking up, the whole team over there. I love what I've seen so far. I'm hyped. I will be in this beta. Yeah, I'm ready.
100%.
Diablo, let's go.
Right there with you. Lies of P, one of the big Xbox Game Pass Day 1 titles. It has a release window now. We learned this also during IGN's FanFest, where it is going to be dropping August 2023. No specific day in August, but it's coming in August. I think that's a great month for it, at least right now. When we look at the schedule for the rest of the year, seems pretty isolated. Typically not a lot of hot drops happening in August. Last year, I think we got, Saints Row in August? So yeah, I think we're going to be okay. But anyway, Lies of P is going to be dropping then. Cannot wait for this one. It came alongside a brand new trailer.
Yes. Small. I like that release date for it. Yep. I agree. Perfect.
I think July, if you're like a smaller game or something, I think July, August is the perfect time to release. I just think it's quiet, but people are willing to play, willing to spend money. If you're looking quality enough, it's a good area for them to drop, I believe.
Agreed.
Speaking of Saints Row, according to Embracer Group's third quarter earnings report, the reboot of Saints Row cost over $100 million to develop, and the performance of the game led to a big loss for the publisher, they had said. Unsurprising result. We already went over that one. Embracer Group said they want them to continue to, them being the entire staff beneath Embracer, to explore their creative ideas. But they said they're going to be a little more focused on the quality control moving forward. But COG, $100 million for Saints Row. And man, it just goes to show you that game does not look like $100 million game. I don't know how else to put it. It just goes to show you how expensive development's getting. What are your thoughts?
Same. It just showed me. It also showed me the realities of the business. Like, if you miss now, bro, 100 million. That's the thing with the AAA space, right? Even though I'm just one guy, I admit, like, even forget just one, just game development, regardless, is just so expensive, it's so costly. And you put all these resources in it, embrace it. They got a lot of things they've purchased. They were looking to cash out on that LP. I feel like a lot of their mindset is to get familiar, well-established brands, right? And then kind of bring them back in the modern era with a touch of play. So you can't tell me Saints Row isn't not something that they really were banking on, and the higher ups. So to see this type of flop is just, we're gonna have to start monitoring them. You know what I'm saying? With how these remakes and reimaginings go, because again, when you miss in this era, it's tough. It's tough. It ain't no Game Pass to save you or to back out. So I'm always going to be pro acquisition. These are the reasons sometimes, because it's like, in terms of the Game Pass situation, because at least it offers a little bit of a safety net for certain developers. Not everybody. I know, comment boys, it doesn't work for everyone. I saw y'all. It doesn't work because I get it. Didn't say everyone, for some, but we got to monitor it.
No doubt about it. Yeah, when you look at all the IP that Embracer Group has, Saints Row undoubtedly was one of the biggest. So this loss is tremendous for them. We have to remember they're in on KOTOR Remake, which is, who knows what's going on with that, right? They were working on it with their own company, Aspire, that they bought, but that moved to Saber Interactive, who they also own. So it's still in house, and that could be a big one for them because it's a Star Wars game. But outside of that, the pickings are pretty slim in the terms of big, high budget games. So we'll see where they end up there. But I'm starting to wonder if Embracer is getting too big, too much to manage. Which, when you look at 75 games in the pipeline for just THQ, how can you keep track of all of that, man? It's impossible. It's impossible.
There's a
So
lot. We
we'll see.
can't minimize that. And the same questions in fairness people have towards Microsoft, right? How can you measure it? It's up to them to showcase quality.
Right.
And when you come out the gate, if it's Saints, it's kind of tough. So we got to see how they bounce back.
100%. We got a new insider gaming report, which suggests that Metro Exodus's sequel is now fully playable and a 2024 release is possible. I found this one quite interesting because I wasn't a big fan of Metro Exodus's direction. I thought it went little too much in the Far Cry direction. And
I know how you feel about this.
Yeah, but it's not even, this is before any like Far Cry solidified hatred. Like it just, at the time, to me, when they went kind of open world-ish, it stripped away the fear and the tension of going through the metro tunnels. Like the best parts about Metro Exodus were the interiors. You could just tell that's the strength of 4A games. But when they were out in the open world, I went, this doesn't feel like Metro anymore at all. So I'm curious what they do in a sequel to Exodus, where I imagine they'll only go bigger and broader. But I'm also surprised that they're just continuing this series. After Last Light kind of seemed like it was it. Then they do Exodus. I went, okay, that's probably it too. And now they got more in the tank. It's very interesting. I'm curious to see where they go with this. But your thoughts on a Metro Exodus sequel, sir?
I'm surprised this series I'm like you, like I'm surprised this series continued to have the traction that it does. I think I remember covering it. I think Exodus was the first game I actually covered at like E3. What about like first little behind the scenes E3? I didn't have my Maddie suit on because I know Maddie had his suit. He goes to E3 behind the scenes back then. But it was my first one. Yeah, shout out. I was it was funny because I think who was in there? My man, shout out to my man Brandon Tyrell. We were both demoing it at the same time. He was working with IGN at the time. That was like one of our first big gets. So like Metro Exodus, the developer was taking us through and stuff. But yeah, it was more open, and that's what I remember. And I remember like, isn't this supposed to be like the tight, scary underground train corridor game or something like that? That's what I remember. But a lot of people, it has a cult following. That's what I started to realize when we started to cover it. But yeah, we got to see. I am surprised with this. I'll be honest.
I do like that it's a kind of creepy game. The tension, no doubt, is fantastic in the series. But yeah, I wasn't a fan of Exodus's direction. But Cog, I think you're lesser of a fan of the direction that Firaxis may be heading in. So let's talk about it and let's get it all out. It's funny. I set this up intentionally back to back where I have some great news. You, my friend, don't have very great here. I figured we needed a pick me up after this. So Jake Solomon and Steve Martin are both leaving Firaxis after approximately 25 years with the company. Heather Hazen will replace Steve Martin. Jake Solomon is going to chase a new dream, he says. Meanwhile, Firaxis has announced they are working on a new Civilization game. Cog, this is your man, right? You always say Jake Solomon and the crew, salute. That's your line, right? Anytime you bring up a Firaxis game, Solomon is out. Steve Martin, I know less about, but he's out. This is your company, right? XCOM. You love it on Midnight Suns. We're going to talk more about that today. What is the feeling right now? To me, this feels like I'm approaching this like if Todd Howard were to leave Bethesda Game Studios. I'm wondering if that's the feeling you're having right now. Like, this is your man, your series. I remember one of the first things I noticed about your Twitter profile, you had in your location XCOM. So I was like, this man loves XCOM. So I'm curious, Cog, my friend, how are you taking the news here that Solomon is out and he will no longer have influence over one of your favorite franchises?
This is tough. This is tough, man. I can't not, help but feel depressed this week. It was a sad week for me. Like, I've been kind of alluding prior to all of this that, I was a little concerned. Obviously, then we got the numbers that it flopped, and then we saw the price drop, and we're like, okay. But when Jake leaves, it hits different because Jake, for me, again, I want to be respectful to Julian Gallup, who's the original creator of XCOM, and he's the old school. And the first game I played was his original vision. Actually, it was the first time I ever played XCOM. It was a PlayStation 1 or 2 port, I believe.
Okay.
And it was one of those UFO defense games. And it's the old Micropose. That was the name of the studio house at the time. That was Julian Gallup. and it was really tactical. It was really cool, but you could tell it was a PC game through and through that just was somehow ported to PlayStation. But I fell in love with it. The stories I've told endlessly.
Mm-hmm.
So now we get to the XCOM, enemy unknown, enemy within.
Yeah.
That's the rise of Jake Solomon. That's the character, the strategy layer, the base layer. Everything's contextualized. Now we have a cinematic, we have a story, and then we have all these different types of units and factions, and this dynamic, emergent gameplay. And it was very difficult,
Mm-hmm.
very difficult.
Oh God, yeah.
But it was one of those feelings when you mastered this thing. Oh man, you turn the tide against the aliens. Oh, you feel like a beast. And each subsequent one, they would just add on to the formula in a way that pushed the genre forward. So I don't have you listen to alternative heavy metal or whatever. I could only use it as a hip hop analogy. For my hip hop guys, Julian is like the Rakim. He's the guy, the OG. He's the reverend. He created it. But then for us, like Jake Solomon is Nas. Like he took it to the next level.
Okay.
Like he's the future of where this thing is. No one's spitting and doing it like he's doing it. So to have a visionary like him, you know what I'm saying? Like leave the game. It's like, damn. And then the reason why I was really panicked is not only is Jake, is Steve, honestly, who I don't know that well, but he's the CEO, he's the head. So the way I internalize it, and again, I don't have specific inside information on this part, but the way I can internalize it is, 2K can't be happy that Marvel license projections wasn't hit. Now 2K, respectfully, took a lot of the heat themselves. Like, oh, it could have been us. We didn't put it in the right month, December. I was shocked because sometimes I've seen it the other way where Activision went at Bungie like, yo, that wasn't up to expectation for Forsaken DLC, Bungie. And Bungie was like, oh, no, it's up to our expectations. We knew that marriage was over.
Oh, man, I remember that. That was so good to see.
Bro, when Luke Smith was like, I don't know what you talking about, Activision, but we super proud. I said, oh, someone's going to break up. The divorce is about to happen because I've never seen nobody speak out against the publisher as disrespectfully as Luke Smith. Salute to Luke Smith. He's a bucket list too. I love Luke Smith.
Yeah.
Anyway, back on focus. So they handled it publicly the correct way. Jake said all the right things, thanked everybody, and now he says he's going to pursue his dream. So maybe it's his own venture. Maybe it's his own. You know what I mean? So we'll see. But I am worried. I'm worried. I'm not going to lie to you. I know some people in the building, and they're trying to calm me down. Cog, we good. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't. And I don't want to. In confidence, I was told just like, look, we're good. Jake's doing to Jake, right? But there's still a part of me that when I see that press release, the studio head and Jake leave. And then, oh, by the way, guys, the new Civilization is still coming. Because remember, Civilization is still the big money maker. So to me, that's still damage control on some level to calm people down. We still coming out with the new that you like, the big one, kind of thing. So we'll see. I know that XCOM 3 was supposed to be in this place. This according to Jake, Midnight Suns was his dream game. It's a trial for playable demo now. Please check it out. Try it out. I hope they get a Game Pass because 2K has been known to do that. Hopefully they throw it in there, and they're gonna still support it towards the end. But we'll see. And I want to get, in fairness, I got to give Heather. I don't know her. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Her due. We'll see. But Jake is Jake. Like we just can't. Like he's that guy. So yeah. What'd you say?
I was asking you. Is he like one of your greats?
Oh yeah. Jake's up there. Like he's a bucket list. I've been hunting down. I'm a super fan, boy. I've been trying to hunt this man down. He acknowledged me for the first time this year in 10 years. I was like, all right, cool. Yeah. So, because I actually wrote a very passionate tweet. I was gutted, but I was just like, look, at the end of the day, I just want to thank you because you're the reason I got into turn-based. He made it cool. He made it tension. He made it fun. He made it
Lord turn-based.
Yeah, I became Lord Turn. I wouldn't be if I didn't give XCOM a shot. It's because of him. You know what I'm saying? And it's funny. Last thing I'll say, I'll go along with it, is that
you're good.
He has a video. Someone found a video of when XCOM, I guess the original ones, Enemy Unknown, the first ones he started to create. He'd be in GameStop, and he has a video of him in GameStop on the release date. Like, hey, you ever tried this game called XCOM? And like no one knows who he is. He just walks into random GameStops, and they're like, "Oh yeah, but I don't know." He's like, "Look, man, it's tactical. It's like 3 games in one." And people are like, "Yeah, you know what?
He's selling his own product.
Yeah, it's fire." And I'm like, if anybody would love to see it, go Google it, go search it. It's funny, and give Midnight Suns a shot. But yeah, we'll see what's up with him. And I'm gonna follow him wherever he goes. Hopefully, he's got something cooking. We'll see if it's still turn based. And shout out to the rest of my people who are still at Firaxis. There's no disrespect to y'all. I just gotta say the truth about how I feel about one of my heroes. We'll see. Hopefully, XCOM 3 still coming.
No doubt. Meanwhile, on the upswing, Sonic. Sega has confirmed that Sonic Frontiers performed well above their expectations, and that moving forward, they will increase the budget for the next Sonic game. Sir, hello. How's it going?
This is on you. I got to hear where you at with this.
I was very pleased to see this. I wonder what their expectations were, because I felt that this game was, regardless of what anyone was going to say, was going to sell incredibly well. Just Sonic's on the rise. Like, this is the most popular he's ever been. The movies have really led to a breakout because they've been successful. They've been good. More importantly, they've responded to that feedback in the first one that was like, "Oh, this is really bad," and they adjusted. So it was like the heroic return of Sonic in a lot of ways. And he's been on the upswing. And in my opinion, he got a really good game last year. I did a top 10 games of the year, and Sonic Frontiers was number 10 to my surprise. Like, I was really into this game. I thought it had an endearing story. It was a little messy in a lot of areas, but the open world feel of Sonic is incredible. Like, it's just, if they can continue to fine tune that and really give it the locomotion and the physics it needs, they'll have something, no doubt. I mean, they already had something, I felt, but they can really put Sonic on the map. And so I was very pleased with Frontiers. So to me, I'm thinking, like, if I already thought this game was going to do amazing, for Sega to come out and say well above expectations means this game did extremely well for them. So we already knew they were going to do another Sonic game. Now, here's where it gets interesting. I imagine they're going to do a sequel to Frontiers, as they should. They've also talked about Sonic Adventure remakes. They've also, before Frontiers drops, said that they want to do a Sonic Adventure 3. Like, that's something they want to get to. These are games that are respectively, for many fans, dream games. And I wouldn't even say hype-wise. Some do it like almost fearfully. Like, I just want to see what it'd be like. Because Sonic team has kind of been like up and down. Like, this was definitely their best effort in a while with Sonic Frontiers. But they've been up and down, up and down. And so the point being is, hearing them getting a budget is so important, because I view Sonic a little bit like what happens with Pokemon, where you have this obviously appealing, successful, money-making franchise, and you don't pour a lot of cash into it, so it stays kind of mediocre because it benefits off its popularities in the early 2000s, where you didn't have to pour a lot of cash into it. Sonic's in the same boat. To hear them saying that they're going to increase the budget, they're about to cook, Cog. They are about to fucking make a delectable meal, and I cannot wait for whatever they are cooking, because I will be there front and center for that meal, and it is going to be wonderful. So I'll wait patiently. They can just take their time, and I'll be happy with what they deliver, because I know it's going to be good. So here's hoping that they get on a roll here, because, again, Sonic team confidence was diminishing. They had a lot of duds. This isn't just Sonic 06 energy. This is like Sonic Boom. Colors remaster was awful. I mean, there's just so many misses. Like, now they've got something. So increasing the budget, letting them go a little more crazy with it, sounds wonderful to me. Because if I were to pinpoint the weak point of Sonic Frontiers, it's the hyperspace levels, like those individual stages. At first you go, oh, the music's fire. Oh, some of these are kind of challenging. Getting the S rank isn't that easy. But then it just gets way too easy, way too familiar. They're still reusing assets from another shitty Sonic game, Sonic Forces. So it's like, y'all got to like leave this shit behind, man. It's time to move on and stop reusing stuff from Forces. So I'm hoping this marks the end of that. But I was very pleased to see they look like they're going to invest finally. And so that'll be good for everyone involved, especially Colin, who will finally bend knee to Sonic.
Oh, you go
because I know they're going to put out a game one day where he's going to be like, this looks good. And I'm going to laugh.
Yeah, he be slanderous.
Yeah.
He be slanderous.
He admitted he liked Adventure. So
Didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
no, this is cool. I have much to add. You killed it. You just overall as a Sega kid to see Sonic's resurgence
Mm,
is warming to the heart. It's just like,
yes.
yo, you know what I'm saying? And then to me, it all started with and me and Attic talked about it, the remixing of the movie when it wasn't received well. Remember when the CG and
Mm-hmm.
all that wasn't received
Mm-hmm.
well? And I thought it was very critical for to take the feedback for a movie, redo it. Then he gets this resurgence. Now the games are popping. And shout out to Sega, like it's just so cool to see them back. It's weird to me. I never thought I'd have this day where Sega's being talked about positively. And I
Yeah,
think
man.
what you said is, yeah, they hedged their bet, probably like, look, you don't know, we're gonna go crazy, we don't know how it's gonna go.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's received. And wasn't this proximity not too far from Ragnarok?
Yeah, no, it was, dude, it was that. Thank you for saying that. I fucking said this wouldn't affect the sales, but yeah, it was 2 days removed or on the
You
day
called
of
it.
Ragnarok. It was something like that, bro. And everyone was like, no way, Sonic's done for.
And I want to shout out my
Vegas,
boy
please.
you. The only two people was you and my boy Everboy Saga. He goes hard for Sonic. That's my guy. Sega kid through and through. And he was the ones like, nah, multiple platform. Trust me. I'm like, I don't know, man. Ragnarok, you want to do that? You want to do that? Yo, look,
I don't know if it did 11 million copies in
we don't know
3
if it did
months,
that.
but it did well.
Right. But if Sega's happy, that's all I can. That means they exceeded their financial expectation. And that's good to see. So
Indeed.
salute to them.
Indeed. All right, we got 2 more little tidbits here. We'll talk about what we're playing. First and foremost, we talked about Jedi Survivor Dismemberment, and we talked about it where we said, oh, they're going to finally do it for humans. Then someone wrote in, corrected us. There was a new video over on IGN explaining combat stances, and laying on the ground were some stormtrooper arms, some legs. You didn't see it when I watched it. I may have missed it happening in action. Like you see the chop and you see the part fall off, but you saw body parts lying about. And I went, oh, okay. So it's there. There is some form of human dismemberment. I don't think Cal Kestis going to be decapitating fools now, but it is there, it looks like. And that was very nice to see, bro. Because I was watching some gameplay and I went, these animations beg for dismemberment. They're so visceral, combined with the sound design. There's one where Cal literally stabs someone in the chest and then force pushes them into a wall. And you just hear the impact. It's fantastic. I'm like, dude, he's a killer out here. Stone cold killer. You got to give this man the dismemberment. So it looks like they finally are, COG. Victory for us.
Yeah, it's victory for us. I can front like I do all along. You know what I'm saying? Like I can take this W and hold it good.
Yep.
But
we knew.
shout out
we
to
knew.
Yeah, we do this one all the way. Now this looks fantastic. Oh man. Shout out to Respawn. They look like they covered.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that Obi-Wan?
Yeah, Obi-Wan robe, Obi-Wan blaster.
I might have to
Uh-oh.
I think they got because he looked like young Obi-Wan when he got the suit. I was like, I might have to do that right there. I don't know. That one touched the nostalgic nerve. And I'm not even a Star Wars guy like that, but that looked official. And I was like, you know what? All right, Respawn, I might give you out that little extra $5 or whatever it is.
Slide it on over quietly.
Shout out to the team at Respawn.
All right, last thing here. This is all you, my friend. New Tekken 8 gameplay with Kazuya joining the fight. So how are we feeling after our latest look at Tekken 8?
Bro. All right, so they've showed martial law. They've showed Nina Williams. Wasn't feeling Nina Williams' haircut. She looked like she had the bootleg costume, fake spy costume. Haircut. I like her haircut. But that's neither here nor there. Now we get Kazuya Mishima, the king of the Iron Fist. And for those who better play it in Tekken 7, major shift happened at the age of Tekken 7. And Kazuya's that dude now. That's all I'm going to say. So this looked absolutely phenomenal. This blew away my expectation. Not only like Unreal 5, bro, the clothing, the faces, the animation, bro, they fighting in the middle. It looked like they in Times Square. They in Times Square getting it on. He's doing all type of stuff. This game looks phenomenal. It is beyond it. Like, you know when games come out and you be like, you see the chain, like, it ain't gonna look like that. That's a vertical slice. Oh, no. This is the game. This is it. Oh, I cannot,
Yeah,
bro.
man. Oh god, this stage looks so good.
Look at that stick. They are literally fighting in Times Square in the park. I took addicts to
I
New
wish
York.
Times Square was not this crowded.
You see the cop car in the back,
Yeah.
nighttime energy, skyscrapers. Like, look at all the stuff going on. Oh man, that looks phenomenal. I cannot wait. I think I'm gonna have to fire up 7 again, get sharp again.
Mm.
I'm chomping at the bit, bro. Like, this is my game. It's my I'm a Tekken kid, bro. This is what I do. I cannot wait. All Namco just let me know, because they usually sometimes Namco's a little slow. So I'm like, is it gonna be 2023? What? Maybe it's a 2024 game. My gut probably say it's a 2024 game, knowing
Yeah,
Namco.
possibly, but it looks so worth the wait, man. I mean, I think they have weather on the stage. Maybe it's just the particle effects, but it looks like it's snowing at times. And yeah, it just
snowdrop Division 1 energy a little bit too, with the New York vibe. Like, it's something special, man. I'm very impressed. Shout out to Harada-san, the legend, who I met. That's one of my heroes I actually did. I never thought I'd beat him. But yeah, man, this looks phenomenal. I can't wait.
Absolutely, yeah. Looks really good. All right, time to talk about what games we're playing, sir. Would you like to go first, or shall I?
Yeah, this has been a little nostalgic, week. Obviously, we had the legendary Cliff Bleszinski in the realm. And what's funny is, usually when I, kind of prep for interviews, I really try to go back to the originals, the stuff that they created, stuff like that. His resume is tremendous, but obviously we know him for Gears 1. And I'm like, man, you know what? Let me fire up that Ultimate Edition.
I like it. Yeah.
Let me fire it up. Let me see what's going on. And it still holds up, bro. And I have to admit, like, playing Gears, I played it over again, right? And playing it over again, I have to admit, no disrespect to 4 and 5 in the Coalition. We're not going to do this. Oh, the Coalition is trash stuff. We're not doing that. All I'm saying is there is a shift that I did see now playing 1. I didn't play 2 and 3 yet, but I just beat 1 again. Is that Gears 1 actually leaned more into horror, and I realized that's why I liked it.
Very
there was
gothic
something
almost.
Yes. Sarah was a very dark, gothic vibe when it was first introduced, right? Also, what I like is that there's 3 scenes to me that are iconic. The first is, I never forget, the stage starts, you get thrown into a tight corridor room with a berserker. And you can't kill it. You have to run. The sheer tension of this female locust that is unstoppable until you get her to break through the wall, get outside, looking for the hammer of dawn. I said it right this time. Comic boys don't come for me. I know I butchered it. I think I said pillar of dawn. They was killing me. It was like Cogs in the pillar. I was all right. I got my games mixed up. All right. Damn it.
That's an understandable twist.
All right. You know what I'm saying? They kill. It was funny. They dragged me. But anyway, so the hammer. And then you burn that thing. And just that weapon coming down from the sky for the first time. For that second moment, playing Gears of War 1 over. There was a part where, you're talking to people, like kind of like homeless people, whatever, dark stage, low lit. Like homeless people have the little gas fire, the little trash can fire thing. And then you get introduced to the krill. And the krill, where you had to go from light source to light source, because if you stayed in the dark,
that was one of my favorite parts of the game. Yeah,
instant death, and that's that tension, that's that fear. And I'm like, that's what I miss. I want them to lean back into the horror sensibilities. You know what I'm saying?
Kind of did in 5 when I'll just say, got to underneath the ice area. To me, that was kind of reminiscent of old Gears. One of the best parts of the whole series, as far as I'm concerned. But go on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. And I think the thing that Cliffy said that really resonated with me was that he said he loved 4. Like, he said he liked 4. He said 5 is okay, but he actually was mad at the ending. Without spoiling, he felt they kind of cowered it out on that. I'm going to use the nice word. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's in terms of, what are you going to do now, canon? Because Gears leaves in a cliffhanger. Gears 5 leaves in a cliffhanger. And we got to see where it's going to go. So I understood. He's like, look, when I had it, we made the tough decision on Dom. We made the tough decision. I was like, talk your talk, Cliffy. You know what I'm saying? So it was good to go back. It was memory lane. It was one of the most iconic, Hashtag just one type energy for
Mm-hmm.
360 at the time. Brand new IP. Halo was delayed. They needed something to showcase the system, and here it comes. And yeah, Gears of War. Oh my god, great to go
They
back
need
to
to
the
do
Ultimate Edition.
a collection, just like the Master Chief collection. They need one for Gears so bad. I mean, the series is arguably as big, so
Yeah,
I think it's
no,
just long
absolutely,
overdue.
absolutely. So I've been rocking that, and then of course, pouring out for my man Jake and the crew. It's been midnight, man, and I'm on a new I'm on a new mode now. I'm in my Ghost of Tsushima bag now with Midnight Suns, where I love it so much. I'm now achievement hunting. I'm getting everything now. So now it's 1100 score. I went from about 600, 700. Now I'm about close to 900.
Okay.
Firaxis, 2K. We gotta talk though. I gotta get y'all this about how y'all dropped the DLC for Deadpool. I done beat all the story. I done did all the research. I did all the stuff I was supposed to do, and these achievements ain't popping, fam.
Oh,
we gotta talk.
No.
2K Games, what's going on?
No,
how you drop new content?
You're
And
gonna have that
two,
ugly like 1,065 out of 1,100,
bro. And I'm looking it up, and everybody's like, "Yeah." People were telling me they had glitched achievements before the DLC, and they still ain't fix it. And apparently, it's low on the total. Bro, I'm playing this game for these achievements. Don't let me get on Twitter now and be one of these fanboys and start really coming at y'all like,
man. That's a place of positivity.
Don't let me be toxic like a Firaxis. I mean, it may not be y'all. 2K, whoever's responsible for achievements popping, they are not popping. I beat like 4 of the hardest parts of the game with Deadpool. I'm almost close to getting his ultimate. Fam, I want my achievement. I want my credit. You know what I'm saying? So that's it. Now the game is phenomenal, and I'm actually playing with new combinations right now. Wolverine on some next level stuff. I got a shout out to Nico from Midnight Suns, and what's the chick from X-Force? She opens the portals. I'm learning now with other characters. This game is phenomenal. I absolutely love it. So yeah, I'll be doing that. And then Venom, they got me, man. Venom DLC is next week. I mean, actually, no, 2 more days. Like 2 more days. So, but the cool thing is these are short little bite size, so it won't keep me too much away. But I'm doing my new game plus, and I'm going for my full joint. So I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna give reverence to one of my favorite joints, like how I did Ghost of Tsushima.
It's gotta be in your
only
game
I
of the year talk, man. It came out late enough. It's gotta be in the game of the year talk for this year. I'm sorry, you got. I'm putting out the vote for you. You gotta consider this because you didn't have it done last year. It came out way too late. It's a huge game. Yeah. This has to be in the talks this year. It has to be.
It's up there. It's up there. If you give me an asterisk, I will put it.
I would happily give you one. I'm curious if the audience will though.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you know they
the Deathloop side of the audience.
Yeah, exactly. I got to survive the Deathloop thing. I didn't get over that yet. They still on me with that. But sorry, man, that sense got me. I'm sorry. But anyway, what have you been playing, sir?
I've been playing Atomic Heart. That was my latest review. I'm working on 2 other games for reviews right now. I can't say what, but
I think I know one of them.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. I was informed. You do. A source told me. So I'm very pleased with two of the games I'm reviewing. We'll talk about them shortly. Whereas a lot of my efforts went into Atomic Heart. I got the game about 4 or 5 days ahead of the embargo lifting. It's about like a 20-ish hour game, so wasn't too much of a squeeze here. This is a game I learned people were very excited for. If the comments on my review were anything to go by, a lot of people were not pleased when I came to my verdict, which was like, hey, this one kind of disappointed me. This was definitely, at least I know in the Xbox realm, one of the big targets for Game Pass. This game that's been in development since 2017. It's Munfish's first ever outing as a AAA studio. And they swung big. This game has a lot going on, no doubt. And there are a lot of good parts about it, but I think the bad parts override it. I think it lacks a lot of focus ultimately. So what I can say I liked about it, and we'll talk about this more, of course, in a certain section of our show. What I can say I liked about it was its world. It's extremely well thought out. There was definitely no skips on how and why things exist, which I personally as a writer appreciate. I appreciate when things don't exist just because video games, but there's science behind it. There's methods created to why things exist. When you walk into a funky looking room, like you're in the middle of a metallic facility, but you're in a room full of plants, it's not just there for diversity's sake. They're like, oh, this is actually, we're trying to colonize Mars and the moon with our technology, and these plants are here so that we can bring food and whatnot to those planets when we can live on them. So we're trying to move humanity forward. I'm like, okay, this moves it from just shooting gallery to like interesting exposition while I'm going along through the story. So to me, the world, the universe here that Munfish has made is awesome. Like I actually really dig what they did. And that seemed to be like one of the guarantees. Like you saw the trailers, it was weird, it was wild, just things happening all over the place. And you just couldn't explain what. What I will say is they do a good job of staying in the territory of ridiculousness while mostly making sense of things. There are some threads that are dropped, and I think it's just at a time where the game gets too complex again for its own good. So that is my main thing I will say I liked about it. The story is equal parts ridiculous and corny, but the universe is as awesome as it looks. It is as advertised. You will like it. It is fun to learn more about it if you care about alternate history, sci-fi type of stuff, which I personally really like. Now, where it goes off the rails for me is two things. We'll stick with the story just so for cohesion's sake. The story, I'm almost like giving up on just critiquing AAA writing. I'll bring it up, but it's so hard for me to make the same point in like 5 different reviews now about the same shit. It's like, what do I say now? And it was with this game I had that moment where there are moments it gets a laugh out of me, so I didn't go too hard on it, but the world building outweighs the writing in this game, no doubt. The actual character interactions and banter are just Forspoken level. And I don't think it's a tasting here. It almost undermine everything the game looks to build and achieve. It's like this very interesting dark world with believable elements to it, and then you got your main protagonist running around yelling crispy fucking critters, and I'm like, what? Who is this cornball I'm running around as? Who wrote him? Now, some have argued if you play the game in the natural language, Russian, it's a lot better.
Okay.
It doesn't change the dialogue, which is kind of ridiculous, but maybe it does do something for folks. But for me, playing the dude bro, crispy fucking critter protagonist, and that's not me making something up, that's shit he says, it's insane. I mean, there's a part where you fall down an elevator after robots are attacking you, and he gets up and he lights a cigarette, and it's in those moments it's kind of charming. I'm like, okay, like you're owning the idea of like that was ridiculous. He lit a cigarette. It's subtle, but it's good. But the dialogue and the constant talking, it is the same energy as Forspoken. Same energy, just constant all throughout the map. Always. Yes, always. But I think it's a little more forgivable because it does get a laugh out of me once or twice. So it's like, it's not with Forspoken where I went, God, you're both so miserable and don't develop at all. In the case of, Atomic Heart, you have a miserable protagonist and this kind of forward-thinking glove that is just trying to help out, you think. And that's where like the dynamic can be funny at times.
I gotta push back for something I'm in no position to push back because I know nothing.
But you're gonna do it anyway. Okay,
but I'm gonna do it anyway because I have to start trouble. So, I guess what I'm surprised is, and listen, everything you can be saying is completely accurate. I know Mr. Matty plays to, the like is goofiness and the like is silliness, right. And to not, so like, I guess I am surprised that it is off-putting you, you know what I'm saying, like that. But to your defense, I think a lot of reviewers, some reviewers agree with you. They're like, yo, it didn't land for me. So I guess I was surprised because normally, you're the guy that's like,
I think it's
you like some goofy games sometimes.
Oh, of course. Yeah. And I know I sound miserable when I talk about games trying to be funny. And I'm like, this wasn't funny at all. Like, I know how it comes across. Like, oh, wow, you must be depressed. It's like, no, I'm not. It didn't land. I just think comedy in games has to be done with a level of tact, and just kind of forcing almost junk food level humor into a game doesn't make it funny by default. Just because your intent is funny doesn't mean it's just, I'm immediately going to goof it off and be like, whatever. Because there are games like Red Dead 2, which managed to, and I know we're talking about Rockstar, but it does manage to walk that line of like, there are legitimately funny parts where you like blow up a shit house, and there are moments where like it's really serious and even downright sad. It just, games can walk that line. I think it's just rare, and I'm going to come down on games that can't. But really, honestly, my level of critique with the story and universe are minimal in comparison to the gameplay, because that is where a lot of my review is focused on. The gameplay here, it's very clunky. It does not feel good to play. But I think the biggest problem I have with it is balance. And it really, when I was reading some of the comments and I was going through some of the discourses, I always like to just check the temperature once and then just peace out. A lot of people don't understand the difference between bad combat and bad encounter design. The combat in Atomic Heart, I specifically say, doesn't feel good. Mechanically, though, it is sound because you have this Bioshock-like setup with one hand dedicated to the elements, your shock power, your freeze power, and then you have a gun in the other hand. And when that duality is clicking on all cylinders, it is awesome. But it's rare because it doesn't feel good. There's like, you're getting knocked back by enemies constantly, and when you do get knocked back, you're just put, like, literally you see the animation drop you on your back. It staggers you far too often. It's very dodge focused, which works well in shooting, but the game, in especially early hours, is heavy focused on melee, which gave me throwbacks to Callisto Protocol, where I'm like, no, man, this ain't it. Like, this, don't build a melee game when your melee is not good. It just doesn't feel right. So there's a feel factor here too. Is that I said in my review, I'm like, if you have Game Pass, go try it out. You'll know what I'm talking about. But the biggest sticking point is undoubtedly the encounter design. And for those who were like, oh, there's no way. I had tons of people who had never even played the game telling me there's no fucking way. I just give you this challenge. There's a part about, I'd say, midway through the game. I'll just say you get to a long bridge. And I want you to go through that full goddamn bridge. And I want you to get to the end of said bridge. And I want you to tell me that there isn't an encounter design problem in Atomic Heart. Some of these are nauseatingly long, poorly balanced. And that is a vicious combination if your combat doesn't feel good. If it's like Doom Eternal, dude, throw the combat my way as often as possible. But it overestimates its feel. And because it doesn't feel good, I played it on PC where it's probably going to feel the best. If it doesn't feel good and you're throwing at me endless waves, it's not volume, Cog. It's really that they'll throw, they'll throw 8 enemies at you and they will all attack you at once. And I've died only once in this game, so it's not a difficulty problem. It's just so fucking annoying to play. Like, that's just the best way I can describe it. I hate to say it, but it's because I feel very grateful to be in my position. I love what I do. I love games, but this was an annoying type of game to play because it reminded me of these open world games that harass the player. Like, you're just jumping around and suddenly 18 dudes pull up and they are just hounding you. And it's every 5 steps. Do another test. Walk from one objective point to the other in the open world of Atomic Heart. Count how many encounters are from point A to point B. I counted 20. That's insane in a 3-minute span. That's insane.
No, that's a lot. That's crazy.
It's way too. It's not balanced. It's objectively not balanced. There's no denying it, and that's the biggest problem with the game because not only are there so many encounters, but they're long in the tooth. So it's not you're in and out quick. Enemies are spongy. Even if you're using the scanner to target their weaknesses, you still have to just fight tooth and nail to get through them, man. It's way too much to the point where, solidifying my opinion, I just started to bounce out of combat when I could. Like, I was like, no, like, I'm not fighting you. I'm getting to my next objective because I was way more interested in the universe. I just wanted more of that. And that's a bad sign for the combat. So it was unfortunate because, again, when you're freeze, my favorite was to freeze an enemy down. And it's awesome. They're jumping at you and they're in midair, like their fist is up and you're freezing them. Their animation slows down and you'll just lock them in whatever position they're in. And it feels so good. And you take out the melee weapon and like crack them until the ice breaks. That type of stuff is awesome. But it's just so few and far between because there's another part. I'll just say the ballerina part. I have to say it had to be 100 enemies. And I was like, what the fuck, man? Like, why are there so many enemies? I can't even imagine it. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous from top to bottom. poorly balanced. And so, yeah, like to me, Atomic Heart was a game that when I finished it up, I went, okay, like decent world, ridiculous story that I think some people will like because if it's ridiculous.
Okay.
Not good feeling combat, poor design, needless open world, kind of bad pacing. I was like, this is to me, I said, wait for a sale, $30. I said, if you're on Game Pass though, because to me, as someone who, even though it wasn't for me, I said, hey, you know what? Like there are a couple things in here that I didn't jive with, but you might just give it a try. Just give it a try.
Okay.
Like there's no reason you shouldn't give it a try if it's on Game Pass, in my opinion. Because to me, like Game Pass, I mean, time is a valuable currency, but if you are kind of like, I still want to see it out, go for it. I think, you know, the opening 5 hours are kind of a slog because you could tell the game was going in one direction, man, and then it just veered because it was going linear. First 5 hours are heavily linear and then just left open world.
Gotcha.
And you're like, and you think you get to the open world at one point, but you don't. It's when you get on the train. It's like, then you're in the open world. And once you get to the open world, you're like, this feels so random. I don't mind open world, by the way, but it felt so it's unplanned for, which clearly was. And I just, as I went through it again, anytime I review a game, typically I'll like double back in and I'll play it again, just not like full playthrough, but I'll just kind of refamiliarize for when I sit down to do like a critique on like this on Defining Duke. And you know, I was just going through it and I was thinking like, man, this game really suffers from lack of focus because you can tell they just made a million things for a million reasons. Like they don't really focus in on tightening up the things that they needed. Like they should have tightened up combat instead of making 4 different lockpicking mini games.
Think like feature creep?
Yeah, 100% feature creep.
Okay.
And I get the appeal of it. Like it is a demon that's difficult to fight off in game development. When you're like, I got an idea. This will make it better. I got an idea. I totally get it. It's really difficult to resist. And you got to trust your core systems are well designed, that you're like, they won't fail us. It's you keep making more, and you don't fine tune what's not done. And this game is a valuable lesson in that. Valuable. So to me, Atomic Heart is a game that I truly wanted to love. Like, you know,
yeah, I know you did. I know you were super hyped for this.
Yeah, the inspirations are clear. But to me, you know, I always don't mess around with my reviews, but this year especially, like there's no messing around, man. Like I'm reviewing 2 fucking amazing games right now that I'm pretty convinced I'm just going to give a buy rating to, no doubt. And that was Dead Space remake. I'm just like, there's too much good shit coming out for me to be like, hey, Forspoken, maybe 30 bucks. No, don't waste your time. And like Atomic Heart, it's like, yeah, it's a new studio. Get a feel for their vibe, get a feel for their DNA. And if you like that world, give it a try. But if you're going to spend money on this, I can't sit here and be like, yeah, man, with all this other good shit coming out, like this is the one. I can't. The options are plentiful and they're really damn good. I just can't waste my time on a game as divisive as this because, you know, that's the last thing I'll say, Cog, is, you know, at least with, say like Dead Space remake, that's a known strength, right? You look at it, the tension, the level design, the dismemberment, like, you know, strengths of it. With Atomic Heart, it's so unbalanced where I'm like, if you're not, I can't wholly recommend, like, well, if you're not into goofy storytelling, this game's going to piss you off right away. If you're not into constant banter and dialogue, this game's going to piss you off. But some people like that. It's just, it's very almost poetic in how unbalanced it is, because so is the recommendation. It's just, it really depends on your taste. So you actually may, that's why I want to tell people, go try it on Game Pass. We'll get to that later.
Try it.
Because it's one of those games, man. If you're interested in it, you may like it way more than me. But for me, I was like, nah, just not it.
No, I feel you. And the vibe I'm getting, it is divisive, because I see some arguments on both sides. But no, you're making some really strong points, and I'm hoping, like, yeah, if the gameplay is like that, it kind of reminds me of like the old school JRPGs, and you walk every 5 seconds and counter, but just saying it like in the open world, and then if the combat is not really appealing,
really,
then, I can see how you, not feeling that.
Yeah. So that's what's going on with Atomic Heart. And, you know, that's the thing. That's where good design comes in, what you bring up there. Like, you can have random encounters in games, for example. Like, Octopath does it, but Octopath does it well, where there's clearly like a built-in timer that after encounter 1, you don't get encounter 2 for at least X amount of seconds. Like, that's the type of stuff that keeps it from not wearing you down. With Atomic Heart, there's no stopping of wearing you down, no consideration for the pacing at which it's constant dual combat. That's all I got to say about Atomic Heart. We'll talk about it more later. We got two questions here. One comes from Daniel, Afternoon Dukes. I know the Game Pass discussion has been endless, but the developers I'd be more interested in hearing from are those unable to get their games on the service. Sure, if a dev can get their costs covered by Microsoft, that's awesome, but does the existence of services like Game Pass make smaller games harder to sell a la carte? Even larger titles like Death's Door had people on the fence wishing it was in Game Pass. Can a $15 to $25 game survive if people think they can get a similar experience, quote, for free, end quote? Certainly not within the Xbox ecosystem. So what percentage of market share does Game Pass need to stay below for small indies whose games don't make the service to survive? This is the angle I'm more interested in. Thanks, and have a I just beat God of War Ragnarok and Plague Tale Requiem in the same week, and I'm appalled that Charlotte McBurney didn't win Best Performance kind of day. Hey, all right. Cog, last week we talked a lot about Game Pass. It's killing games. We came to the defense of our service. The Xbox Defense Force stepped up, and we had plenty to say on it. Cog, I'm curious.
I knew those guys are going to say that. I knew those guys were going to.
Yeah, well, we got that energy. I love that. I was like, yeah,
I love it. I like when I affect someone that much.
Yeah, you'll get a good laugh out of me when people were like, "Yeah, you're just eating up Phil's lies." I'm like, dude, I'm speaking from the person funding a game. Like, I would know better than most, like what Game Pass can do. But Cog, what do you think about what Daniel had to say here? Because I like the perspective he's bringing to the table.
No, this is great. This is great, and this is why I love what we do, because when people say the foolish comments that we were talking about earlier, it exposes that they don't listen to the show, and it exposes that we're highly critical of Xbox when we need to be. So look, this is the point. This is the one I respect people when they come to me. They say, look, what if you're that dev and you don't get the Game Pass back, right? And you don't get in and you don't got the visibility. And guess what? I got an example. So there was a game, shout out to LordsOfGaming.net, shout out to my man, Gene, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's a beast. And I remember going to Play NYC, kind of like a small indie game, Dev Jam, New York developer base. So, I got to support the city, who they coming out. And there was this game, and it was so cool. It's called Shoulder of Giants.
Okay.
And it's this little, like, frog with a gun in a robot suit. And it's just charming. And it was just fun. It just caught our eyes visually. It stood above the pack at this indie game jam.
Okay.
So I saw it like maybe 3 years ago. I'm like, yo, we covered it. Like, it looks kind of cool, whatever. So as it moved on in development, we heard the announcement recently, like, yo, it's going to be on Xbox. We're like, oh, wow, they made it to the big time. This is a big deal. So almost like an ID Xbox kind of a thing, I'm assuming. So I remember speaking to, James, like, damn, man, it'd be cool if they get a Game Pass back, to really set them up for visibility. Because what ends up happening, and I forgot, Gene, if you're listening, I know you're probably screaming at the screen right now. The release date that they gave them, or I shouldn't say gave, I don't know who decided the release date. Let me stand corrected. But this release date literally came alongside mega releases that actually were in Game Pass that week that everybody was anticipating. This is probably a couple of weeks ago. And they even said themselves, like, man, because a lot of people was like, yo, this game's good. The people interview the devs, are you guys going to be in Game Pass? And they're like, yo, hit up Microsoft. We'd love to be in Game Pass. And it just never happened. And this is one of those games that kind of got buried. And you didn't see anything about it. You didn't hear about it. But it's cool. Look it up. It's called Shoulder of Giants.
Okay.
It's on Xbox. And that's the thing that you have to show some concern for, right? If you don't make it, what happens to you, right? And that I feel is legitimate. And that's something we definitely got to monitor. There's no doubt about it. I love these questions. To me, these are fair questions. These are not concern trolling questions. I feel these are legitimate. And yeah, not everything is going to work, in this system either. So we have to be honest on those aspects too. And it's up to Microsoft as well as the indie developers to say, okay, what are we going to do in that situation when we don't get it? Because it's hard out here, man. You know how it is. You pitch it in game, you want everyone to see it. It's very difficult.
Yeah, Yeah, very well said. And yeah, not everyone's going to get it. And does it make smaller games harder to sell on Game Pass or on Xbox? I don't think so, because it's funny you brought up Death's Door, Daniel. That game sold 100,000 copies pretty quickly, which I don't have much doubts that it's probably going to cover most of their dev fees. If I were a betting man, at least I'd say that I would say that would be the case. But they eventually came to Game Pass after they sold extremely well. So I think it's just about quality control. It's something we urged Game Pass to do. They shouldn't, if they looked at Shoulders Giants and they went, hey, this isn't quality. Not that it is, but I'm saying, but if they looked at it and went, no, it's not quality. I mean, that's a call that they should feel confident in making. And I think it raises the game of everyone to be like, okay, we need to stand out. We need to do something different. We can't just fall in line. We need to really stand apart from the rest of the industry. And I think it not solely thanks to Game Pass, because you want to do this in general, but it produces creativity. And again, I don't think it means it's a death sentence to some indie games, because indie games are really best supported by word of mouth, Steam reviews, Steam wish lists, that type of stuff anyway. So Game Pass for them is another, beyond getting the free bag, it's another visibility tool. But I don't think Xbox indie games have struggled to sell, because Xbox has a pretty good indie rep now. It's really PlayStation was the place that I went to for indie games in the PS4 gen always. But now Xbox has that ID at Xbox program. They're really pushing it. We're seeing them put some really quality stuff out in partnerships. So I think if you were to ask me, man, like I don't think these games are going to struggle to sell at all. And we haven't seen any indication that they will struggle. I mean, certainly there are more like niche ones that I think this one is in Game Pass, but it was like a pixel art fishing RPG. I'll have to look it up, but like those types of games I think are so overly specific that they may not sell super well. But otherwise, Daniel, I understand where you're coming from. I think it's a really fair point, but I don't think it makes these smaller games harder to sell, at least not yet.
Yeah, we got to monitor it. We got to see. You know, I was just looking at it. It came out September 2022. That's when Deathloop and Grounded released in Game Pass that around the same time. But again, I want to note your point, which is quality, right? And if a game is high quality and well reviews, like a Death's Door, that could shoot it up as well. So I have to be honest about that too. Like if your game it's a good game, it's reviewed well, for the most part, you know, it should get at least some visibility. So we'll see.
I think Tunic is another example.
Yes, Tunic is another one. I do remember that
one.
So
I don't think, because Xbox, for all their faults, have done a good job in making, like when Death's Door came out, when Tunic came out, it felt like a big deal. Tunic stung a little bit because we were looking at the first half of that year going, wow, it's really barren. Like just Tunic, huh? But and if you look at it a little more under a microscope, that was considered a big deal. So that game ended up doing well anyway. But Matthew O'Sullivan's our next write in here, and then we'll get into the rest of the news. Is third party day one Game Pass turning into a flag for the game likely being a bit mid? This has been a bit of a claim online following Atomic Heart. I think initially, to some degree, yes. I know people don't want to hear that answer, especially someone who really defends Game Pass and loves Game Pass. But yes, like you cannot tell me
quality, bro.
Yeah, you can't tell me when it was something. Hey, look, I put my money where my mouth was. I made dedicated videos when Game Pass was all on the rise. We got MLB The Show, Outriders, Dungeons and Dragons. We didn't know it would be that bad. Or I'm sorry, Dark Alliance from the Dungeons and Dragons series. We didn't know it would be that bad. In comes Maddie going, yo, y'all need to do better. So I put my money where my mouth was. But yes, initially, yes. And there have definitely been games that I think Atomic Heart fits into the slot. I think the Ascent fits into the slot of that looks good. And then you play it. And I go, fuck. God fucking damn it. You got to be kidding me. That feeling, man, it hurts. But I think, honestly, they're getting better. I don't think it's a definitive flag for mid, as you would put it, Matthew.
Flag.
I look at games like A Plague Tale Requiem. It's my game of the year, man. I can't be out here telling you that Game Pass is a flag for mid. I look at Wolong upcoming, looking pretty nice. That demo felt really good. So we'll see how that one turns out. You know, you look at Liza P. It looks like they're making better bets, right? Is how I view it. in the terms of things that have come out, though, we've seen that steady inclination. But yeah, there's going to be misses. And those misses, I don't think should sting and turn into flags because, like, again, the best thing about Atomic Heart right now, if you're an Xbox fan, is I talked about it for 20 minutes on how I'm not really a big fan of it. You can still go check it out and you don't got to pay an extra cent. Like,
Yeah, for
that's
sure.
what it's all about at the end of the day, because you may end up liking it. That's what it's all about. So I may have veered away from the initial point, Matthew, but I don't think personally it's always a flag for mid, but I kind of understand the stigma to some extent. I think there have been enough high quality games in Game Pass, but I can't pretend that the start of Game Pass day one games was like stellar and that we were really like, it was just a bump in the road. No, it was for a while, you look at Back for Blood, even the Ankribus, or what was it called?
Which one?
Anacrusis.
Oh, I know you're talking about. Yeah, I
Yeah.
ain't like that one.
Like,
Yeah, I know
no, there've been a
Mhm.
lot of Game Pass L's, if we're honest. And,
Of course, of course.
I think we have to acknowledge that, but I don't think it's necessarily the flag for mid nowadays. But I'm curious, Cog, how you feel about it.
No, I think it's a fair criticism, but I don't think it's 100% accurate if you look at it as a whole, right? So what I feel is they're not getting enough credit for the first party games actually being really good games that have been in the service, right?
It's like
So
separate to people. Yeah.
yeah, like people are acting like, again, we're playing this it doesn't count game, and I don't subscribe to that. Like, bro, we just came off a Hi-Fi Rush. We're not doing that, right? So it's like we got Hi-Fi Rush. Just look at the last major first party releases that came out, right? Now you can say what you want, but Pentiment reviewed high, right?
Mm-hmm.
Grounded reviewed high. You know what I'm saying? Like all the major first party releases that have come out even before that, even though we didn't like how Halo's live service was, Halo reviewed well, Forza Horizon reviewed well, Psychonauts 2 reviewed well, Age of Empires reviewed well. There's a streak of quality. Microsoft Flight Simulator reviewed well. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Now, with a third party, that's where the fairness comes in, right? Because it's like, okay, not everything that jumps in third party has been 100% either. Like there's been hits and misses, right? So I think that's where it is. And I think part of it is as a subscription continues to grow, people are going to have third party devs are going to get more comfortable and not. I think there was truth to, hey, we're not in the beginning, like we're not sure about this game, Outriders, right? So maybe we take the Game Pass back, see how it do, or maybe like a Rainbow Six, what was it, Extraction, and we're not sure, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I could see that to some extent, but now there's stuff coming, you know what I'm saying? And there's stuff, obviously, we talked about what last week, we talked about what long, there's stuff coming that looks extremely promising and stuff that has been in the service, like you said, Plague Tale and other games like that, where you're like, okay, there's quality here too. So it's getting better on the third parties. I think that's trending upwards. But in fairness, in the beginning, yes, I think that was a fair criticism.
100%. All right, Cog, time for the news. Our number one item today is, as I'm sure many expected, we're going to be talking about Microsoft, Nintendo, and Nvidia. We're circling back to that Activision Blizzard deal, but some significant deals have been struck that are definitely worth talking about. So let's get into it. Microsoft and Nintendo have officially negotiated and signed a 10-year deal to bring, quote, Xbox games to Nintendo gamers, end quote, according to Brad Smith, vice chair / president at Microsoft. The tweet specifically mentions Call of Duty will come to Nintendo players with feature and content parity. Confusion has circulated said tweet that announced this partnership, as Brad Smith wrote that, as I stated previously, the agreement will, quote, bring Xbox games to Nintendo gamers, end quote, indicating Call of Duty would just be the start of more Xbox games heading to the platform. However, Christopher Dring, head of GamesIndustry.biz, states that the Nintendo agreement is just for Call of Duty. Now, this doesn't mean Xbox games can't come to Nintendo, but that the focal point of this deal was solely for Call of Duty. While we have known for a while of Xbox's intent to work with Nintendo, Nvidia has stood up against the deal up until this very moment. Xbox has signed a 10-year deal with Nvidia to bring all Xbox games that are on PC to Nvidia's cloud gaming service GeForce Now, eliminating previous competition concerns in the cloud gaming area. With this address concerned, Nvidia states that they are now in support of Xbox's acquisition of Activision Blizzard, and they will be getting started immediately working with Xbox to bring Xbox games to GeForce Now. This all happened as Microsoft stood on the precipice of a meeting with EU regulators in which some of the attendees are Phil Spencer, Jim Ryan, Bobby Kotick, and reps for Nvidia, Google, EA, as well as Valve. As the meeting went on, additional tidbits have cropped up. One, for instance, highlights Microsoft's lack of global appeal, as they revealed the console market share for Europe is 80-20 in Sony's favor, with Japan at a unsurprising but still very disappointing 96-4 in favor of Sony. Holy shit. I'm sorry, I don't mean to stop my own script, but
with the 4%.
4%. Let that sink in. That's a staggeringly low number. All right. Microsoft's Brad Smith has shut down the notion of Xbox selling off the Call of Duty brand to get the deal over the finish line, saying that, quote, "We don't think it's realistic that one part of the company can be carved out from the rest," end quote. As it stands, Sony is still against the deal going through, and according to GamesIndustry.biz, Microsoft and Sony still aren't close to an agreement of any sort, despite meeting in Brussels. All right, Cog, let's start off with Neo JD. Dookie Boys, with the Call of Duty to Switch announcement once again said by President of Microsoft Brad Smith, is this basically confirming that they expect the deal to go through? In addition, his post reads, "We've now signed a binding 10-year contract to bring Xbox games to Nintendo gamers. Could we really see more than just COD on Nintendo? Will we finally see Master Chief on a different platform? Thanks, and have a Munfish, why are you making these feminine robots kind of sexy type of day." Yo, some of these bots are thick, I'm not going to lie. But anyway, my friend, how are you feeling about the latest move by Xbox to get this deal over the finish line? Again, for those who were not paying attention, 10-year deal with Nintendo, bringing Call of Duty to the platform, indicating that more Xbox games are on the way beyond that. And Nvidia, 10-year deal, Xbox games available on PC, coming to GeForce Now, which has now brought Nvidia in favor of the acquisition. Cog, your thoughts?
Yeah, the saga continues, right? The saga continues. So here we are, it's a little bit of deja vu because I remember, when before the deal got blocked, that, initially they had announced, hey, we formulated a partnership with Nintendo. And this now we've got more details. And I think this is more about, politically getting the EU to understand what's going on. And this is all grandstanding. Part of, I shouldn't say that's wrong. Part of this is grandstanding because it's like, hey, we are not the market leader. Here is why, right? And I think that's the correct approach. You have to show the raw data. So it's kind of funny to me because it's like, yo, we're the worst here in Europe. We're the worst here in Japan. But it does paint an honest picture, right? Of, again, harming, the idea was that they are harming competition. So if they are harming competition, then it behooves Microsoft to show how deficient they are in the spaces that they are in, right? So that, I think, was the right approach from a legal standpoint. But again, I claim to be no expert. Hoagland, we miss you. But what I was going to say is that they're doing what they're supposed to do on that front. The surprises here to me is Nvidia, because one of the things that I thought that they would get in trouble, that I thought Sony had the strongest argument was that cloud gaming is a nascent market, meaning that it is something that is new, it's emerging, it hasn't been defined yet. And we know with Microsoft, with Azure and that backbone and that infrastructure, even Sony themselves have partnered with Azure, right, for a backbone to future-proof themselves. So they have a reach. That's what Google was scared of, right? Google jumped in first, but they made it, hey, we don't need the console anymore. It was a super aggressive stance. We saw the result of that. But Microsoft has said, hey, this is an optional thing, and we've got this huge backbone of network infrastructure and servers globally that's going to continue to funnel and fuel. Now, if you think about Call of Duty in that sense, if you think about Activision and Blizzard in that sense, and this global Azure cloud infrastructure that's massive and people really like, that's when you can say, hey, they could get scary if they control this pipeline and it's only them, right? Mm-hmm. So that's where the Nvidia thing hits, because I'm a techie. Listen, no disrespect. I love my xCloud, but I've always, I think it's my first time saying it here, but I've always said on the record, GeForce Now is a superior latency product than xCloud. That's just from my experience. I don't know how it's been recently. I'm talking about when I used it, maybe a year or two ago. I used to play full Destiny on GeForce Now. And what GeForce Now, the difference was like I'd be cloud, surfing into their Nvidia 4090 playing Destiny. You know what I'm saying? Like it's their most highest, fidelity card. You're playing it, and whatever they're doing on the latency end, beautiful. Now we know, Series S's are now being powered for xCloud. They upgraded from the old Xbox Ones and stuff like that. So they were improving their infrastructure on the gaming side. But Nvidia was always there. The problem with Nvidia is they just ain't had the games like how Xbox got, right? So they would improve, but except for those leaks that we know about. But anyway, but at the end of the day, this is huge. Because this now says they got in the room with Nvidia and said, look, we're putting our games and not just Call of Duty. If you read the verbiage, it's like their games are coming there. That is huge. So the way I look at Nvidia is like the way I looked at when Microsoft said we're going to do the partnership, a 10-year deal with Valve. We're going to get it on another platform. Microsoft does not care about the hardware, y'all. I keep telling people, yes, sales will be nice, don't get me wrong, but they're about getting their games on devices and screens as much as possible. And for the fact for Nvidia to agree, this kind of is a shot in the face to the argument of the nascent market. So I think this is good. Overall, the Nintendo, one thing about the Nintendo thing that's very interesting, let's be real. I personally don't see how Nintendo Switch is going to run a fully featured Call of Duty.
Yeah.
That's just cog from a technical standpoint. However, I do think it's interesting when you read the verbiage, it doesn't say Nintendo Switch.
Took the words right out of my mouth. Yep.
So to me, this goes back to Phil's shelf again. Phil, you're sneaky. I know what you're doing. Mm-hmm. I know what you're doing. You think you're playing chess. I'm on to you. I knew that Switch in the back. I told people it had something to do with something. And this is an overall partnership with Nintendo. That Nintendo, I think this is future-proof. And let's be real, if we looked at the numbers and the data, this is the first time we started to see a slight decline on Switch. The market saturated. We're starting to get the age. It's a 6-year-old console. Yeah. We're still after Tears of the Kingdom. Who knows? Maybe they already know what Nintendo's about to do, right? Mm-hmm. And now if you talk either a higher fidelity Switch, see, that makes sense to me, or a cloud-based, better, infrastructure Switch that plays nice with Azure, that plays nice with Game Pass. Please put down the seashells and the cups and the string with the Nintendo. So I could see that, and I could see from there, because to me, the only thing that if I'm Sony, I'm like, you frauding Microsoft. There's no way you getting fully fledged card that's we playing right now on that Nvidia Tegra Switch. No, you lying. So that makes sense to me. But look, this is a big move for them to do all this stuff. We'll see. We're going to see if this works. We've been here before, but the Nvidia thing is different. The last thing I'll say is that it behooves Sony, because shout out to Brad Smith. They was politically grandstanding. Did you see this today? Yeah. They was like, we've got the contract right here, and they didn't.
Yeah,
I thought that was funny.
He had the blank contract in his pocket.
They put they do it all. This is what you're supposed to buy. So I get it. This is what you're supposed to do. But we know damn well it's political grandstanding with that. But I feel you. You you're educating a base that doesn't know about gaming. You're trying to show them everything. You're doing everything by the playbook. However, devil's advocate, if I'm Sony, I'm not signing nothing. Mm-hmm. If I'm Sony, that's nice. See you in court and let's see what happens. Because Sony's whole thing is we are going to wait this out. We are going to be the most disagreeable child. No, I don't want my vegetables. No, I don't want. They are going to fight this to the end, and as they supposed to. So let's see it play out. And now we'll see if this was enough to push it over the universe and then we'll see. But I'm curious what you thought about it. Today was wild. I was like,
Yeah.
yo, what is going on? What do you think about all
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Just seeing
Mhm.
the news break because the Nintendo stuff broke overnight, at least for us. It was just I think like 2 or 3 in the morning, and it was just breaking out, and it was one of those moments where you went, okay, like we already knew that the deal was happening with Call of Duty, but then you start to look closer at the wording and the Xbox game to Nintendo gamers. That's what I also latched onto quite a bit because for me, it indicates that they know something else is on the way, which I think all of us expect. But I'm right there with you, sharing the same exact thought that Call of Duty, I can't fathom it running like it does on Xbox and PlayStation, and even in feature level, by the way, as it would over on a Switch. I can't fathom that at all. So when they use Nintendo gamers and there's no mention of Switch, it is definitely a future-proof sentence. And to me, that tells me that they looked at something like Xbox games, a much more general term than Call of Duty, and had to have gone over that. And that does suggest to me that this will go beyond Call of Duty in the future. And what form is what I think excites me the most, because let's bring it back to an old story from a couple of weeks ago, my friend. What did we see in the internally leaked email from 343 about Halo? Bringing Master Chief Collection to more platforms than
Good
ever
catch.
before. Oh,
Good
now we see this.
catch.
What's the plan, Xbox? I think it's obvious that I would call it obvious that Master Chief Collection, whether it's now or years from now, will make its way to the Switch. And if they're using the term Nintendo gamers, it goes back to the same question we asked about, well, Master Chief Collection on Switch, that's like 100 plus gigabyte game. Got a better Switch or whatever the next Nintendo hardware lineup is, maybe it's a little more feasible. That would be my shot in the dark on what's on the way.
I like that. That's a good catch.
Yeah, I feel it's the timing is way too coincidental. Even if one is internal and one is actually a post publicly, it just, the source was Jason Schreier. So I'm going to go out on a limb and connect the dots here. That's where I would begin, right? Like, okay, we're going to see a big Xbox IP make the jump. And I think Master Chief Collection is one of those games that you look at and you think, okay, what do we gain out of this? Pretty much anyone who's an Xbox fan already knows this is ours. It's been ours. It'll continue to be ours. For Xbox, Halo, you got to acknowledge is a little weaker. You bring it over to Switch, you expose it to a new audience, or you reinvigorate your current one, which I think is actually the more likely option. Like people are going, oh man, Halo's really out there now. And it may be a good stance for them to take in the face of regulators. Like, look, the face of Xbox has now made its way to another platform. We're so about multi-platform support. Getting back on track, though, I think this could lead to a curated version of Game Pass in some way, shape, or form. Because when you see Nvidia getting the bulk of PC games on Xbox over into their streaming service, now the war is less about the library and more about your technical offerings, which is a huge risk for Xbox because we know they're still trying to grow PC Game Pass. Like, let's not forget that that's kind of been the thorn in the side, right? It's always been console Game Pass. That's been the positivity, the coverage. It's always surrounding that. So when you relinquish, if you will, your library, which is kind of the thing that helps win people over to your competitor, one of multiple, by the way, you could argue that it may weaken your service. But I still think, like, after playing GeForce Now and playing Xbox Cloud Gaming, mainly on the Logitech gaming handheld, I still think Xbox takes the cake because the startup time is just in a flash. Like when I did a Plague Tale Requiem on my G Cloud versus
how's it?
Oh, dude! By the way, I love that device. I got PS Play. It's this kind of third-party app that lets me play PlayStation games, remote play. So I was kind of getting like a Vita feel for it.
Yeah,
Logitech is this G Cloud gaming handheld is literally so fucking underrated. It's insane.
Really,
it's such a great companion device. I definitely use it more in my Steam Deck now. Like it's official, and I did not expect to be saying that, but I'm loving my remote play, and I'm loving a little bit of cloud gaming lately. It's been for the last 4 months. I've had this thing for 4 months. I still am like, this thing rocks. I really do like.
What you been playing on? What's the primary game you've been playing on? If you,
I typically review games on it now. So I was playing Atomic Heart on it.
What?
Yes, games I'm reviewing now. Playing on it. That's when I want to because I post up in this type of chair for many hours. So when I want to lay down, but I need to review a game. I now have that option, and it's a really nice
That's
option now. But
fire.
like,
That's fire.
yeah, I've played tons of games. Like I was playing Power Wash
That's impressive.
Simulator on it and whatnot, just through cloud gaming. It's awesome. But
Okay.
I think when you're relinquishing that library to another PC competitor, to me, it suggests that they are more determined than ever to get this service onto any screen imaginable, expose in any way imaginable, likely due to this deal. But I think even after the fact, this is going to be good for them. And I could see Game Pass making its way finally to Switch. So that's kind of where I sit. Neo JD is the, you know, more than COD. I think it's Game Pass. I think it's Halo. And I think they start with that because we already know like Ori kind of straddled the line. I think you could get some other line straddlers. Like I think Hi-Fi Rush makes a lot of sense on the Switch. I think Pentiment looks like a handheld game. I played that on Logitech's G Cloud and I loved it there. I thought it was perfect for that kind of device. Grounded makes a ton of sense. There's so many Xbox games that do have that Nintendo feel. And I think
Energy.
while this may not be their goal, I could see them getting something in return. I pick out Astro Chain and I pick out Mario and Rabbids as two. And I'm going bold with Mario and Rabbids, no doubt. Like it is Mario in the title, but it's a Ubisoft game. It didn't perform that well. It needs way more exposure. And I mean, this could be a good, like, here you go, like something of us. If you're getting Halo, maybe. I don't know if Nintendo's going to be working that way. They may just be the takers here, but that's kind of my starting point here, Cog, with Nintendo and where things may go. I find it very exciting to see what other barriers break down here.
Oh yeah. There's tons of stuff here. And I got more points. I know we got more questions that's going to probably lead into it. So I'll save some more thoughts that I got for this. This is a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk with Quantum Radish, who writes, "Hey Dukes, just to comment on the Nintendo/Call of Duty Xbox deal. I've seen a lot of people online saying we need a new Switch now because there's no way the Switch could run Call of Duty. Did these people forget every new Call of Duty entry runs on day one PS4s and Xbox Ones? With this in mind, I think the Switch will run Call of Duty fine. Not saying I don't want a new Switch, but if these nearly decade-old consoles can run MW2, I'm sure the 6-year-old Switch can run it too. With this in mind, when do you think Call of Duty and hopefully all first and third-party games will go only current gen like Xbox Series X and PS5? Does this shift back a bit as the Switch is likely the new lowest common denominator? Nearly 3 years into this console generation, one has to imagine the time for the PS4 and Xbox One has passed us. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this and have I just told Colin The Last of Us 2 is the most overrated game of all time. And now I fear for my life kind of day." Colin doesn't think that's a great game, right?
I think so. I think he's
no.
Naughty Dog all day.
Oh no.
But I don't know if he feel about 2. I forgot how he felt about 2. I know he's Naughty Dog. Last of Us 1 all day.
May have to leave the
I don't know how he feels about 2. You gotta put in your papers.
Not part 2, Colin. Not part 2. I love 1, but not part 2.
No, I don't know if he, but I know how he feels about part 1. Okay,
I think he does. Something in my gut's telling me we'll have to inquire at some point.
We have to inquire. I need to know that. Let's speak to him.
Anyway, but, you kind of started off on the tech front, so I'd like to hand this one to you. What do you feel about Quantum Radish's deduction here that Call of Duty will run fine on Switch?
Look, man, I don't know what type of sorcery that these devs can do to make this thing happen. Salute to them for doing like older ports like The Witcher. Look, man, I'm playing that Call of Duty. They bullied me into playing this Call of Duty this year.
Yeah.
And I put that thing on Series S and it looked phenomenal. I was just like, wow, this is really impressive. 60, 1080p. And I'm just like, wow, they didn't miss a beat. I just can't see it. But like, and here's the key. The key that they said is they, in this statement with Brad Smith, feature parity perfect Nintendo Switch versions of this. These are literally in the verbiage. I'm sorry, fan. That little old Tegra that could, no. Like, it's not happening. There's no way. The only way you sell me on that is if you're telling me they're going to do what they did with like Control and Resident Evil, where you have a cloud solution, right? And then even so, you going to have to put them, sorry, Switch guy, you got to put them in their own server bracket playing just them and mobile. Because if you remember, Fortnite did that. Fortnite took Nintendo out of the pool. You are not allowed to play in the big boy pool with the grown-ups. You are over here with your bad latency and the mobile guys. This is where you play at, in the 4-foot pool over here. You don't get to play with them guys. So that's where they at with it. So look, I think a new Nintendo Switch is coming. It is lining up. Now it makes sense because we were like, yo, when is a Switch Pro? We kept saying it. Now, Nintendo and Xbox have been very cozy. They've got to know what they're doing. And for Nintendo to be so agreeable, 10-year deal, that's kind of unheard of. So they get the benefit. Like, hey, we've never had this mega selling product on our platform since like what, the Wii days or whatever. The Wii, I don't know, was the last Call of Duty that was on it. It's been a minute. So that's number one. Number two is the other thing that I know Xbox wants it is because we got to be honest. I've said it. We're in the era of the live service, the Warzone and all that, the Fortnites. Locking the stuff down to just your platform and live service doesn't make sense anymore. Mm-hmm. And if you notice, that is a talking point from Microsoft. Cross-platform. That's why they want it on PlayStation. You want the most users. You don't think Halo could use a shot in the arm for some Nintendo Switch user base if they had like a you know what I'm saying, of a version of it that's playable with a newer Switch or whatever, or cloud-based? They would love to have that. So that's what I see. The last thing I want to say, because I did miss this point last time, is that with all this deal is talking, right? Remember the last Duke we had, we was like, yo, what's going to happen if the concessions is like, yo, you got to spin off Call of Duty? We heard loud and clear. And I got to give Sony and the guys their credit here, because Microsoft did kind of say, it's not just about Call of Duty. It's about the mobile. We'll go, oh, no, it's about Call of Duty, bro. Because you literally said, Brad Smith was like, no, we're not divesting. We don't feel comfortable. We're doing all that. We want the whole package, the whole thing. I'm like, oh, so the truth did come out. That's what I said. We're going to learn with this what's really important. And we learned that, mobile's nice. You like King, but you want this Call of Duty, bro. And you are willing to walk away from this deal if Call of Duty is not included. So we learned that officially today. And I have to be fair, in the sake of fairness, because a lot of Sony guys have said this and like, yo, we going, is it really mobile? Because you said mobile. No, it is Call of Duty too. So that's one of the revelations I felt we learned today.
100%. Yeah, it was clear as day when they announced all of this stuff, and then kind of in passing went like, yeah, we're not divesting. We don't think it's fair to carve out the company. I actually understand where they're coming from. It seems very unrealistic, because that's like there are specific companies and support studios that work on Call of Duty. It's such a behemoth that you're pretty much relinquishing like almost all of the deal to get it over. And then what do you have? You just have King. And like you said, is it going to be about mobile, or do they really care about that? And so, now we know what they are and are not willing to concede. We see they're willing to concede games on Game Pass, if you will, to get it over the finish line. They're willing to concede Nintendo, helping them out. They're willing to do all that. They are not willing to give up Call of Duty, though. And now we know it was assumed. It was an easy assumption to make, but it's pretty much 100% guaranteed now. This is the central point of the deal for everyone involved.
And for the record, the same way I respect Sony saying, yo, we not coming to the table, we not signing nothing, I respect Microsoft, and we ain't doing this until this is what we here for. I respect it. I respect it. Like, this is what it's about. We're not trying to, this is our overall long tail goal as part of this deal. At least we finally got that definitive, and I wanted to know that.
Let's talk with VRG. A little bit of a mini game here, if you will. We're just going to do yes and no. And then once we're done with this yes and no game, we'll kind of go in on whatever we want to, because I think the list kind of sets us up for all sorts of talking points. Hey, Dukes, please answer yes or no on which kinds of Xbox games will make it on Nintendo platforms. All right, Cog, you ready? Let's begin.
Let's go.
Cloud versions of the latest Call of Duty games. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. Call of Duty Mobile. I don't think so.
I'm going to say no.
Yeah, I think that's its own thing.
I think it's its own. For the first time, I'm going to say no.
Random mobile games from King. I'm going to say yes. I don't think Nintendo Store has a good filter. So I just think this shit makes it on there anyway.
I would say no. I'm going to say they probably try to keep it separate. Plus, the Switch is their storefront, their eShop is like a
It makes
not curated
PlayStations
mess,
look
but
really good.
oh my god, you can't find anything in there.
They all got problems. Like I hate navigating Xbox's storefront, for example. It's just like every single one. I was like, I'm trying to buy things. Like, can you guys just make it easy? Like, is it that hard? I guess it is. All Minecraft games. Yes. Yes, a million times over. Yes, for me.
I'm gonna say yes. Minecraft is the Call of Duty equivalent. It's as Jazz adequately put, it's a legacy game.
Mm-hmm.
So legacy games now, I've learned through the great Chess Gordon that those transcend. So yes.
Smaller Xbox games that weren't huge commercial hits, like As Dusk Falls or Pentiment, well after their PC Xbox launch.
I want to say yes. But according to the deal, from what we know right now, I'm gonna say no, but with a caveat. Like it could change, but I'm gonna say as of this recording, no, because this is about Call of Duty. But this does make sense. This kind of is like Ori energy to me, and Ori should have been way bigger on Xbox. I feel, and then they invented, but
yeah, I think for me, the answer is moving forward. Yes, retroactively, probably not. So I think what we're going to see is kind of that 1 year window. Get it now on Xbox, get it a year later on Switch.
Oh, you think it's that energy?
Yeah, okay. I think, I mean, dude, yeah. There's no way they're going to do like day and date. And if they do it within like a 3 to 6 month window, then why would you want an Xbox, right? But I guess that's where Game Pass comes in. You just want them to subscribe,
what I was going to say. So I think that the caveat for me is Game Pass. I think Game Pass makes it come on there, but not in the, traditional, like it's Game Pass. That's how I feel. But when does that happen? We don't know.
Yeah. So for me, I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
But mine also, I guess, comes with that asterisk. This one I'm very interested as to your thoughts. Smaller Xbox games that were smash hits, like Hi-Fi Rush, well after their PC Xbox launch. So they get a winner cog. Does that make the leap?
Only in places where Game Pass exists. Because you got to pay Microsoft that bread. That's where I'm at. When I'm quoting the great Phil Dominus.
I'm with you on the no here. I think it's, this is the bargaining chip for Game Pass. I think you want this, take the service. Take the service. We got you.
Pay us up. Pay up.
Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. I haven't played this, so I feel like you have the better say on this right now.
I will say it plays excellent on control. It can play on Switch the way that shout out to World's Edge. They did that. But again, asterisk Game Pass. No other way unless it's Game Pass.
I agree. Ports of old flagship Xbox games like Halo Combat Evolved, Fable, or Gears of War. I'm saying yes.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah.
Okay. You think Master Chief Collection? What you think?
I think Halo. I think Fable 1, for example. Like if you did Fable Anniversary Edition, like what I think Xbox wants to do. Here's my theory. Market your new stuff with your old stuff on other platforms, right? There's a certain point you reach as many people as you can possibly reach on your platform. And maybe they get to that point or feel like they're at that point where they go, we need to capture a new audience. You get someone who picks up Fable 1, they hear about the newest Fable, and they go, oh, wait, what's this? And they slide on over to the box or the Game Pass subscription. I think old ones, like where they've been in the like Fable 1 with Fable Anniversary, like that's been since the beginning of Xbox. And like, you want to protect that, of course. You want to be very careful. But I think if they want to grow these IP and make them count a little bit more, this might be the way they got to do it. But I'm curious as to your take.
So basically, you're going PlayStation energy. You're going the way PlayStation treats the PC port, which is, you'll get God of War, but you ain't getting Ragnarok right now. You know what I'm saying? Like for like a year or two.
I think it's a sound strategy. You just double dip, market your stuff. Like it just works very well. I think that's exactly what they're going to do.
I mean, it makes sense in traditional way. I just feel that their model is so different. My answers are going to be boring. It's going to be, you got to accept Game Pass. And you're going to get a curated list of our greatest hits And what's our old joint? Okay, Master Chief. Or
Yeah.
like I can see that, you know what I'm saying? But I just think they're so tied together. Look, what you're saying makes perfect sense.
Yeah, because they said
Trust me,
ports, which is like a
yeah,
separate SKU from the
right.
subscription. Well, it's the same, but I'm saying more like it sounds as if these are made available for sale. But but you're saying they probably not even make them available for sale. It's like get Game Pass or you don't get them at
Gotta
all.
get them. That's the whole. Remember, their whole thing is subscriber. They want the Nintendo subscriber, and you get them in a curated joint, and then you give them the older joint, and then it's like, oh, by the way, you want to play the new? You can play it here. These are where you play these.
How about this one?
Oh.
More Bethesda ports like Skyrim for Elder Scrolls and Fallout. I'm saying yes again.
Ooh,
as Jez and as Phil would say, content with legacy. Yes, I've always been a believer though that like Xbox isn't going to lock down like a Fallout 3 and New Vegas remaster. Like I think when those come, which I believe they will, when it happens, I don't think it's going to be Xbox exclusive. I think they're going to be available everywhere. People can correct me if I'm wrong. That's just my personal belief. I don't think they're going to protect a remaster personally. They didn't protect the Anniversary Edition. They made it a little bit cheaper, a little bit easier to opt in, pick it up, right? You get special edition on Game Pass, pay for the upgrade. But I think with like Fallout, yeah, like they're going to sell that everywhere. Why wouldn't you? Again, it's the mindset I'm rocking with here for the old flagships. Let your old stuff market your new stuff. When you're working on that new Fallout game with Obsidian and people are playing old Fallout stuff on all sorts of platforms, they know where to come to get the next one.
Okay, because you consider
I got a little King energy
like
with
an
that.
older legacy. Yeah. I see what you do.
Yeah.
I see what you do. I mean, Skyrim does fit your argument, you know, currently,
yes.
right? Skyrim does fit that. It is interesting. I just look at I look at Bethesda's the ZeniMax acquisition as pre-Kumbaya. And Call of Duty as Kumbaya. And like once we finish this Kumbaya phase, I think it's right back to business. I'm gonna be any Sony fan that says that.
Oh, like, you think the nice guy act is gone?
I'm just gonna keep it real.
Yeah,
you know,
I'm with you. Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you what you want to hear and not what you need to hear. And I gotta keep it a buck. I feel a lot of this is whatever we gotta do to get this across the finish line. All hands on deck. We're kissing babies, we're hugging grandmas, we're doing everything we got to do to show you we're the most palatable people you've ever met. The minute the deal closed, any subsequent deal, any subsequent acquisition, yeah, so you're gonna play nice and you want to serve the game. Oh no, this is us. This is you get it Game Pass and then but Starfield Game Pass, you can get over here and get down with that over here. Oh, but I thought that's Call of Duty. That's Minecraft. Yeah. That's what we do. The legacy stuff. That's what the regulators care. But the regulators don't care because Hogue actually told us that. Hogue actually, when we had him on last, shout out to Hogue, Divided Duke, I asked him, I said, bro, like, what about now the next acquisition? Like, what's the outline? Why is this under so much scrutiny? He's like, Cog, it's literally just about the money. 66 billion. The regulators do not care about the three, whatever. What did Bungie go for? Was it 20? I forgot what Bungie went for.
It was not nearly as much.
Millions. I'm thinking that's a big deal. Don't care about that. As soon as you hit that certain threshold, now you got eyes on you. Once the eyes are off, watch what happens. That's my prediction. All this, you get down, as King would say, get down and lay down and get over
it. Yeah. No, I think you're right on the money. I 100% think you're on the money with that. That I'll be curious to see where Xbox's nice guy act goes after this is all said and done.
But I will give you credit with legacy Bethesda, because they have shown that propensity to keep those. So you may be corrected me on that.
I just part. Again, I think they have with that type of stuff nothing to lose. If they feel like they got something to gain, though, it's a whole different conversation. Like Elder Scrolls 6, next Doom game, next Evil Within game. Gather them up, keep it close to the chest.
My flannel. I don't know what you're talking about. I shared that. I shared you that other flannel jacket. That the main one.
Get your ass on Game Pass. What they're gonna say.
Exactly.
Come on now.
You're gonna see a pimp turn up, but I thought you loved me.
Yeah.
I love my money. I love my checkbook. You know when the relationship get cold and it was you had that honeymoon phase, and the dude, but I thought
what we had was special.
No, he ain't special.
Nvidia's like, you're gonna re-up that contract, right? And they're like, well, the digital age is here, and you're not. That's the thing I gotta call a little bit of sus on.
Yes.
That 10-year deal, I don't think gets them to where we will end up. Like, I don't think we'll be at the full-fledged, like, you can cloud game easily in 10 years. I think we'll like just be getting there, but I don't think we're gonna be there. And that deal expires. This will be a fun conversation. I'll totally forget about that. Some listener may remember and have us recircle back to. But holy shit, man, when you think about that, I don't know. I mean, has that crossed your mind?
Yeah, that's the legitimate argument I can understand. Now, granted, I understand how deals work, and you never say in perpetuity. Things can change. Call of Duty could fall off tomorrow. It could die. You know what I'm saying? Who knows, right? Down the road. But it is interesting, and I know this is Sony's fear. Like, after the 10, who's to say they'd be like, oh, numbers ain't that good over there. So, like, I don't know if he'll get that to you this year. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you saw, like I understand why they're not willing to come to the table. And this is revenue for Sony that they are losing now. So I get it. In fairness, I totally get it. But it behooves Microsoft, as we have Hogo, it behooves Microsoft to keep honoring that, because you went all your eyes on this. You can't be bad faith on that. I feel you have to keep re-upping. But with other stuff, ZeniMax, if they want to do a Sega deal down the road, or Sobo, you ain't getting Plague Tale 3 or 4. You ain't, no, you're not. I'm telling y'all right now, I know how it's going to go. That's not happening. The money does not equate that. And, you going to give us your Final Fantasy 7 then? Yeah. All right, then leave us alone. You're going to see the attitude change quick when all this stuff is over.
Yeah. Watch. I'm really curious how it all falls out. The last one from VRG here.
Let's go.
Cloud versions of the newest Xbox games like Starfield, Hellblade, and the new Fable. No.
Ooh, no. You gonna say that?
No. Anything new, right? That's I'm talking about. This point forward. Anything old? Here, Nintendo, you like us, right? I see you going. Anything new though? You come to our system, our service. That's where you play them. They got to be protective to some extent.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I love benevolent Microsoft. I think it's awesome. But I think, they got to protect what they've built or bought. And that's going to piss some people off.
That's going to piss me
I think they need to protect it, though.
Bro, they don't nurture.
Yeah, they don't nurture.
Oh, the nurture gang, though. They ain't going to come for you.
I know. It's okay, though. But I don't think cloud versions of these new games are coming to Switch. I'm sorry. I don't think you're going to be able to. Again, Game Pass, though, it might be able to get a little sample of that. But I'm curious what your answer is, because you've been team, like, just get Game Pass on the system. So what do you feel about cloud versions of the newest Xbox games on Switch?
That is a good one, because it could go either way. Nintendo has been playing in that space. I'll never forget. I was in the room. Reggie, Sam Lake. You know what I'm saying? What are you doing here, Reggie? This was like 4 or 5 years ago. Nintendo, what do you do? You cannot run this. You cannot run Control on this. We're in the Control behind the scenes thing. And I'm just like, I never understood why Reggie Fils-Aimé was there with me. It didn't make any sense. Now it does. So there's a part of me that's like, look, Nintendo, they know. They beat to their own drum. Their audience is very specific. And this is their way to stay cutting edge, right? This is their way to cloud, play that in that space. So I'm torn. There's a part of me that could see it, but then there's a part of me that sees what you see, where it's like, okay. But then again, if it's a Game Pass sub on Nintendo Switch, Microsoft is still getting their money.
Oh, yeah.
This is a tough one. I could see both mentalities. I could see where people say there's like the Game Pass list on PC Game Pass and Xbox Game Pass, and then there's the curated list on everything else. But then when we look at Nvidia look like they're getting everything.
Yeah, they said all
But
Xbox games on PC.
but then maybe they looked at as like the Steam. It's we're getting into this gray area where the worlds are colliding, and I'm trying to figure out. So I've gun to my head for right now. I will say no for right now.
Okay.
But this is subject to change because this is an ever evolving space, and we got to see how this thing go play out, man. But we're in some weird times right now where the world. And shout out to Colin, like he kind of said this, like he could see a world even further down with PlayStation finally being receptive to a curated version of it, right? So Microsoft, that's what they care about. They care about the subscription services. They care about the engagement. They care about every sub to Game Pass, turning that 30 million subscribers into 100 and something million subscribers. That's the long tail. They're willing to take the short-term losses right now to get to that. And they've got the people in the building that do that type of math and Scrooge McDuck money stuff.
Absolutely.
So let them work that out on their own. I just want the deals, please. And the devs to get paid.
That's 100%. That's what's going on with Nintendo, Xbox, and Nvidia, and all that's occurring in Brussels. We'll keep you posted on what happens next, but for now, we move on to number 2, where a lot is happening in the world of Redfall. First, there was a physical disc fiasco. This one was originally going to be a top story for us, but it quickly fell off after Bethesda did the right thing. So Bethesda's official support page originally confirmed that Redfall's physical release would only include an Xbox Anywhere code. Now, following the outcry of really gaming as a whole, right? And that wasn't just the Xbox community. They had updated fans via their official Twitter account that there will be a disc only with the Xbox SKU. It is yet to be confirmed, though, if this is similar to Halo Infinite, where the disc functions solely as an installer. And we did just learn recently, for those who don't remember, that Redfall is a always online game. You cannot play the game offline at all. So with that in mind, I have my worries on that front. But I was right away at the front of the when I saw this from the official source, by the way, I need to I'll loop back to this in a moment. Some people were putting their chest a little too far out for my taste, because I saw the official source, Bethesda support, post on their official Redfall page, emphasis on official, that Redfall was coming with an Xbox Play Anywhere code. There would be no disc. So right away I go, this sucks given what's happened with Halo, and now this, I don't like where Xbox is going with it. And I had dudes, the second Bethesda corrected it, check the official information next time, bro. Check the official information next time, bro. And I was like, okay, wait, let me double check, because I know I read this on the official support page. So I look, I'm like, what's the fucking official support or source? And I tell people, I'm like, no, it was from the official source. And they're like, no, it wasn't. What?
Are they coming for the kid?
What? This is what, not to rant.
Let's go.
Between this and Atomic Heart, I found out what truly bothers me on the internet. It's when dudes lie, clear as day, like dead to rights, lie to me. If y'all want to know a personal fun fact about Maddie, we get close and cozy one day, you lie to me, you're dead to me. That's it.
I know.
That's it.
I know. You've told me.
I love the truth. It is a strength of mine, if you will, in my line of work, I suppose, but I love the truth. And when I see dude, like, immediate mute, bro. When you lie to my face, you're like, no, it's not the official source. I'm like, can you not read? So point being is Redfall, this information did come from the support page. I need to make that especially clear, it seems. Now it's been confirmed through Bethesda's support page. It will come with a disc. So there's that cog. And then there's a brand new trailer that dropped called The World of Redfall. It's another kind of hype trailer. Looked pretty good compared to what I saw from the developer direct. So I like where they're going with it. But my friend, where do you stand on the physical disc fiasco as it went up and then down? And then, of course, this new trailer that came out.
Yeah, I mean, it did look spooky for them. Yeah. You know, the initial news, to your credit, that's what I initially saw too. So I was like, oh, this ain't gonna go well. You know what I mean? People are gonna definitely have issue with it, you know, kind of thing. So, you know, salute to them to getting in front of that, you know, correcting that. We'll see the extent of what this disc actually holds. You know what I mean? Once we actually get our hands on it, kind of thing.
I will put money on it. It'll be an installer.
Yeah, it's
probably an online only game that cannot be played offline. It needs an update by default. 100%. I would put money.
Yeah, it's Destiny to me. You know, so that's theoretically it's an online game. You know, I mean, kind of thing. But I want to actually, you know, not even push back, just give another perspective, which is,
Nudge me. Come on.
all right, so this is why I've chilled on it as far as coming at them crazy on this particular part. Remember when we first started talking about Redfall, we started talking about the co-op, right? And one of COG's concerns, because COG loves him some State of Decay. And State of Decay has an offline mode. You don't have to play it online. You can turn that off. However, the caveat is when you play in this offline online mode, either one, even if it's online, you are tethered to a small circle radius of how far all four players can go apart from each other. Redfall officially confirmed, and I got to give COG some credit because I said the only way I'm going to let this on, one of the reasons I let the online only slide is if you allow all four players to be able to be unrestricted and go around in this world. Redfall confirmed it. They did confirm they are not tethered. That is huge. That is huge because sometimes dudes go off and you get, you want to do your little exploring and stuff like that. And I want that feel where, because sometimes I got dudes on my squad, Sinister, I'm talking to you, who are just lone wolves and they don't listen. And I like when they get bodied and they need help. Because you stop trying to do too much on your own.
I'm the same way. I'm a very vindictive co-op partner. It's just like, yeah, you got wiped. I'll come help you in a little bit.
Exactly. See, I told you we should have been going over here, clearing this. And, you see what I'm saying? Yeah. And then they go and they get by. I love it. Yep. I love when the game humbles you that way. So this mode is for me. I'm like, yes, I got a bunch of little alphabet. Addict. I'm looking at you.
Oh, Addict.
Addict. He is the run head first, sometimes not listen to the plan guy. And I'm like, bro, let's go stealthy. Let's wait. Boom, guys, but now they gonna know about me. I bodied the boss. Bro. So I can't play with him sometimes. So I love when a game humbles you. I love when a game, you can't go and fetch it out there. Oh, you got bodied by a whole bunch of vampire bosses and you got trapped and you need me now? Oh, this is great. So that's with the Redfall energy. And then I want to say, I ain't gonna front. I love this second trailer.
Yeah, this trailer looked good.
I felt this trailer was better than. I mean, they showed more of the developer direct, but the beat on this, do you hear the music on this joint?
Yeah,
I was feeling it. So I'm again, I know Maddie. I think Maddie, you coming around and you just accepted it for what it is. That's the vibe I'm getting.
No, this trailer was good. Yeah, like I'm right there with what they're trying to do. For me, I always go back to it. What are my interiors like? And I know it sounds like it's such a small thing, but it's like your point is totally fair about the online tethering. You've been saying that for a while. This is what I've been saying for a while. I saw with Deathloop what happens when you incorporate online play into an arcane game. You lose a special part of it. Like to me, going inside buildings, interacting with stuff, that exploration breeds approachability, like a new approach to an encounter. So I love that type of stuff. It feeds every part of the game. With Deathloop, it was like every door was fucking closed except for like a couple of windows. I was like, man, I feel so limited here. Now looking at it, there were plenty of interiors. Coming off of Atomic Heart, obviously I won't know till I have my hands on the game. But one thing I don't want to sleep on with Redfall is it looks like a good first-person shooter, and feel is like everything in these games. It was funny. One of the comments I got in my Atomic Heart review, and I responded to it. I always respond to comments kindly. I may at times bitch and moan, but I am a nice person, I swear. Someone was like, "Why are you hard on the shooting here with Atomic Heart, but not Fallout 4? And you love that game?" I'm like, "Well," I said, my first person shooter tastes have evolved since 2015, and a lot of people were coming at me like, "What new shooters have come out since then that are like remarkable? They're all pretty much the same." I'm like, "What? Like, no one played Doom, for example?" And quietly, Arcane puts out really good first-person shooters. Like Redfall, for all my critiques, is a good feeling game to play, right? Like I always say, Arcane, really good with the gameplay. So Redfall looks fun to play. And I think that's what matters in a co-op game. And the world looks wacky and weird. I just, again, pray it's not surface level. Like they have a lot of cool interiors and environmental design. Like I'm looking at the trailer now. There's this playhouse. It's like wide open. That almost looks explorable. So cool. There's these red caverns, these rotating buildings that open up. Like this game oozes style in a lot of ways, man. Just, I hope it's not surface level where it's just hallways and corridors and enemies, but there's no lore, bits of interactability, things you can pick up. Because to me, that's like the spice. It's why I love BGS games too. Like to give people a little more connectivity to my adoration, right?
Break it down.
Bethesda does that interactivity on an open world basis. They do many other things right, but just sticking with that motif, if you will, like that's what they do. And it brings the world to life to me. Like every object, this remote, this phone, everything to pick up, add to my inventory, sell. That just does something for me. Arcane, same energy, but more linear, more replayable, right? Like when you're playing Dishonor and you're like, "Ooh, that necklace looks pretty good." I love that stuff, man. I swear I think I'm slightly like a kleptomaniac when it comes to games.
That's why we like Bethesda games. Bethesda games do foster kleptomaniac.
I love stealing shit in games. I don't love stealing in real life. The most I've ever stolen as a kid, I stole a bobblehead from the school store, which is 5 cents. Okay? It's the worst I've ever done. I felt very bad about it as a kid, by the way. My parents scolded me for it. I was like, 5 cents, Mom. It was a cereal bobblehead. It was Pedro Martinez. Come on now.
Pedro, shout out to Pedro. No, to interrupt real quick.
No, you're good. I was done.
That's what made me fall to Bethesda too, because I remember playing Oblivion, and I'm like, I'm in someone's house, and I'm looking through the drawers, and there's red icons on all the things, and I'm just, you got bread in your house? I'm like, bro. And it was one of the greatest, and one of the funniest feelings.
Bread in your
robbing someone's house, then coming out, hey, you, stop.
Yeah.
And the guard comes, and you're like, pay the fine. You got the stolen goods, you pay. And you know you can't beat that guard at that point. He gonna body you if you try to fight because you have the out. And that's why I was like, yo, these Bethesda systems are so cool. So I feel you on why you love it the way you love it.
It's awesome. So the long-winded way of saying I really hope that Redfall kind of brings the best of both worlds here, like the open world and the interactivity, because that's what Bethesda Game Studios effectively does to me. So I think they can do it. I'm just curious how much of a focal point it'll be with that kind of interior exploration and interaction, because it has been in literally all of their games before Deathloop. So we will see, but a lot happening in Redfall, and about 3 months away now, a little bit less actually. So we're getting there. We're getting close to the answer. We'll see.
Good enough.
All right, Cog. Time for us to kind of pound our chests a bit. Little games coming to Game Pass this this coming week, and I think we're feeling
these third parties
pretty good about it. So, coming soon to Xbox Game Pass. Still the low and slow, by the way. We're not getting those massive lists, it seems, as of late, and I kind of like this change. Again, I'd rather less games, higher quality, and it looks like that's what they're doing here. February 28th, we get Merge and Blade on console, cloud, PC. You also get your hands on the esteemed August 2022 JRPG Soul Hackers 2, console, cloud, and PC. February 28th. It's almost like you should have been there in the first place, Atlas. March 2nd, F1 22 comes to console and PC Game Pass, and then March 3rd, Koei Tecmo, Team Ninja, the grand return to Xbox, Wolong, Fallen Dynasty, console, cloud, PC. Give me that shit all day. All right, Cog. How we feel about this list, man? Again, like I said, low and slow, but I'm loving the output right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And higher quality. You know, Soul Hackers, what's funny is I did start it because I remember I wanted to keep my word with one of the LSM users. So I'm mad right
now. I thought of you right when I saw this. I'm like, this man didn't even start the game properly. He spent the money on it.
Bro, I was like 2 hours in. You know, so I didn't even feel qualified to talk about it. I played it because I really wanted to give it a longer playthrough. You know what I'm saying? But look, this is dope that Atlas. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Come on in, baby. You're doing what you're supposed to do. Slowly but surely. Yep. F1 is huge.
Yes.
I know people don't want to hear this, but F1 is huge in the EU. That is effectively the better IndyCar. That is the international. That is like the football over racing. You know what I'm saying? Like F1 is F1, bro. That's a huge deal. So that being in the service, I know F1 dudes hard body. I know. Shout out to my Sony dev Chris Grinnell. He used to do at Work at Psygnosis and all that. Great guy. He's hardcore F1. And then of course so long.
Yes, sir.
I think this is the one I'm hoping for. This is the one that I'm like, maybe COG finally has his souls, and I'm pulling for it. And we got a co-op system in case it goes left. So I want to try that
Yeah,
out.
Koei
Help me out.
Tecmo and
Yes.
Team Ninja with Neo. One of my favorite things about it, man, was they did a great job with co-op. There's no finish the mission first, then bring your friends. It's like, oh, it's co-op time. Come on in. You both progress at the same time. It's still challenging. It's so good. It's why I tell people Neo 2 should never be slept on ever. Like out of every FromSoft competitor, Neo 2 is a god amongst men in my eyes. Like I love that game. So I'm very excited for Wolong. But dude,
Oof.
Soul Hackers 2 was very, very nice to see it here coming on around. I mean,
Yes.
unfortunate sign for its performance. It came out in August and it's
Yeah.
already leaping into Game Pass.
Mhm.
I guess it makes sense timeline wise when I really do think about it, but it's one that I'm sure Atlas was hoping probably did a little bit better, but
Yeah.
maybe they'll see the boons of Game Pass. We know Sega, very pro Game Pass, is just another one from their overall library
Mhm.
making the leap here. And
Yeah.
I'll finally be able to give it a try now, see what it's all about. Because I said to everyone, I was making this as one of my picks for Game Pass, right? I was always saying, like, they're going to do it. They're going to do it. They never did.
I know.
I win.
Waited.
I win.
You would. Yeah. In fairness, this is some of we're going to talk. I got to be fair because COG has been pro acquisition and pro Game Pass. These guys always. I will say it does foster a culture sometimes where you go with a paid game. You be like, I'm not sure. I'm gonna wait. A lot of times you get rewarded by Game Pass by waiting, but that's where it may cannibalize a little bit of sales that way too, because some people are like, yo, Soul Hackers is cool, but I don't know if I'm $70 cool with you right now. And we gonna hope for you to come. And now this is where a service like Game Pass kind of satiates that. So it is stuff to monitor. But again, Xbox doesn't care. They want you in the service. They want you subscribers so you can get the opportunities for like this. So it is stuff it's interesting to monitor the habits and the behaviors of gamers.
Absolutely. So with that, we move into Game Pass pick of the week. What could Maddie have picked? What just came out recently?
Yeah, what came out?
Confusing one, I know, but it's
No
Atomic
anticipated game.
Heart. This is well and truly a Game Pass pick because to me, as someone whose verdict was like, don't buy it, but if you got Game Pass, go give it a try. I urge you to give Atomic Heart a try for obviously many of the reasons I mentioned earlier, but I do want to reemphasize at this point that this is a game that is so topsy-turvy, so unbalanced that there will be things you like more than me and dislike more than me. And while I like for my word to be law, I really do think this is a game you should try on your own. I think those opening hours will tell you all you need to know. And I personally don't believe the open world is going to dramatically shift your opinion positively. I think if anything, it could shift it negatively because it only amplifies some of the problems in the game. But Atomic Heart is a game that if you were interested in this world of robotics, you're looking for a kind of BioShock inspired title, yeah, this is definitely something you should look into because when it focuses in, brings you into those more closed in environments, it kind of removes some of the messiness. The encounters are balanced well. You do get a taste of almost what could have been for the entire game and how sometimes too big is not always a good thing. But more importantly, to the recommendation is that you may find something that you find it charming because we have to remember one thing. Some people will tell me, because I've seen it already, that I may have gone very hard on Atomic Heart. It's their first games, the first outing from this company. It's a first AAA effort. It's going to have some bumps in the road. And all I'm saying is I hope that people got that same energy with my game when it comes out. It's like, oh, they're a new team. They're a new team.
It's first game. It's a new team. First guy. First time.
Yeah, right. I'm hoping people keep that energy. But again, when you swing this big, I think you got to expect the return fire to be as big, right? You're shooting for the stars. Like, okay, let's see what you got then. And with Atomic Heart, I do think it's going to be a hit and miss game. I think there are going to be a lot of people who play it and adore it, and it may even hit their game of the year list. Like they just may love the craziness of it. I also think there are going to be a lot of people who play it and go, oh my God. So I just urge you, that's the beauty of Game Pass. Give it a try for yourself. See what it's all about. Because if anything, the world is fantastic, and sometimes that can carry you through a kind of mundane experience. And Interested to see what the audience thinks. Please do write in on it. Like we're curious to know with some follow-ups what you think of Atomic Heart, because especially with this one, divisive, mixed. There were, I don't pay close attention to number scores, but I saw 4s and 3s, and I saw
Wow.
8s. I mean,
What's the Metacritic sitting at?
70s. Yeah, it's in the 70s. Yeah,
Really?
very,
Wow.
very up and down. Very up and down. Which is when I was playing it, that's what I was thinking. I was like, this feels like it's going to be in the 70s. But I was expecting more of a consistent lukewarm, like I was feeling.
Mhm.
But instead, it was just high highs, low lows. And that's the best indicator as a consumer, where if you have the option to try it for yourself and you were interested in the first place, beauty of Game Pass, baby. Go try it out.
No, you're right. That's the cool thing, and I think that's why, when you're in a service like that, you can, I would say, avoid some things like, say some pitfalls if it didn't land for you. But like in other cases, I've seen situations where people are like, yo, I was feeling it, kind of
Yeah.
thing. So that's
Try
the beauty of
before
a
you
service.
buy.
You get to try. You get to see what's going on.
Indeed. So that's my Game Pass pick of the week. Check out Atomic Heart if anything I talked about throughout this episode has jibed with you. As I said, it's with any reviewer, if it's on Game Pass and you got that extra time and you were interested in it, you shouldn't listen to any reviews. Your verdict is what matters most. And
Exactly.
reviewing is a big part of my career. But please, your verdict matters
100%.
more than mine.
Bro, same thing. There's nobody gonna tell me about Midnight Suns, and I ain't care about, what I'm saying? But someone gave it, so it could be the game for you. Give it a shot, make your own decision, and then, see for yourself.
Absolutely. So now we move into our final question of the episode, Cog. It comes from Steven Richard. So Xbox's YouTube page has posted the opening cinematic for Diablo 4, and it left me wondering, why do games do this? Trailers, gameplay overviews, deep dives I can understand, but spoiling, he put in quotes, something as cool as an opening cinematic, which personally is something I always look forward to, seems wrong. That should be left for when you first buy the game and get to see it for yourself. But what do you guys make of this? Hope you guys have an amazing day. Cog, have a great time in Texas. And Maddie, hope you get some great One Piece watching and video game playing time. And thank you, Steven. Appreciate it. Cog, what do you make of this? Because I'm curious if you find, like, I remember when this is a throwback, but it will always stick with me because I remember being kind of befuddled by it. Bethesda, for those who have played Fallout 4, spoiled the ending, in my eyes, of Fallout 4 in one of their first trailers. I'll just say, when you see like the nuke drop, I remember the hype in the community was so high because they were like, oh, it's the Power Atom side quest from Fallout 3. They're doing it again, bro. Everyone was like, run that shit back. Let's go. Turns out it was the end of the game. So I make a video months after the fact. I'm like, hey, the spoilers here. And why did Bethesda do this? A lot of people are like, I don't care. Like, it's not a big deal. You're overreacting. They did nothing wrong. So I'm interested. That's always stuck with me, where I'm like, do I put so much value into the marketing material where I'm like, you shouldn't, like, if you want to, where they shouldn't spoil things, but even if they look hype, like, Cog, for you, how do you think that they should handle it?
This is a great question. This is a question that I've had, shout to my Last Word co-host, Ibantis.
Okay.
Had great debates with him about this because
Destiny.
Yeah, like they did this with Destiny Forsaken, and they literally showed the killing of Cade, which was the major.
Oh, I remember that. Like, the whole internet was like, okay, I guess he's dead now. I remember that.
So on one hand, I'm a purist, and there's a part of me that's like, yo, E, I feel you. He's like, bro, I can't believe they did that. What like, I don't want anything spoiled. Like, when you love something, you don't want anything spoiled, right? You truly. So what I've adopted, shout out to Soph, he's the same like this. Like, we, for the most part, we are, when it's something we love, we get like a little bit of fill, get some basic information, and then dip.
Yep.
I want it to be lights off, first experience, Starfield. Like, you know what I mean? I don't want to get too crazy. Once I got enough, I don't need to see your third or your fourth developer. I'm good. If I know I love you, I'm in. I don't have to keep going super deep. Unless there's just confusing things that don't make sense, then that's different, right? So here's the thing, though, and there's the debate I had with Ibantis, which was like, look, I get it. I feel you. I didn't necessarily care that they spoiled Cade's death like that. However, we got to be real with the marketing now. People saw that trailer. If you're a Destiny fan, you're like, oh, they killed the homie. Who? oh, we gotta ride out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like people had an emotional connection, like, oh, I'm buying this. No, it can't go down like that, right? So marketing did play its factor. Now the flip thing now is where we at with Lightfall. There's a debate. People right now, shout out to Paul Tassi, shout out to my man Ty Guy Travis. People are going to these reveal events as media, and they're like, yo, Bungie ain't showing us, like they're keeping secrets away. Bungie has recently changed their philosophy where they're not, sometimes they don't even give you the name of the season until the day of. The trailer is hiding key cinematics, and then people are like, yo, where's the hype? I'm not, some people are saying like, I'm not as high on Lightfall as I was for Witch Queen, right? Mm-hmm. So it's that balance, because I think they may have the metrics that show when you show a little bit more, in terms of maybe with Diablo, people are really all the way in, and that may fuel the pre-order numbers. But then when you keep things away, people are like, oh, what are you hiding? Is it bad? Maybe because they don't got nothing good to show, right? It's tough, man. I will say, last point, I am more of a purist. In a perfect world, I probably wouldn't want to see certain things, but I have to admit, when there's games that I have been maybe lukewarm on, and they kind of show me that fire trailer and they may reveal. Sometimes I'm like, damn, that might have pushed me over right there. It's a tough one. I'm curious where you feel. I'm torn with this one. I really am, because I understand both sides.
Yeah, I get why companies do it, because typically when you're making materials for your game, you try to stay in a position where you're not making new stuff solely for marketing, that it's almost a part of the game that's being reused elsewhere. And this comes down to art, cinematics, big moments in quest lines. And I find it interesting that we're still on this route of having pretty significant spoilers. Like, I'll just say that an Xbox's Good Luck Have Fun trailer for the Game Awards, there was like an endgame shot of Atomic Heart that I learned after playing it. I was like, holy shit. I was like, this is just here. How? Why? What? It's nothing major, but like I recognized the scene and went, wow, that was from like the near end of the game. And I just wonder why, when they put together these sizzle reels and whatnot, do they not know the internet loves to dissect everything? And I love the idea of like little nuggets. That's what I did with Starfield. Like, I feel like I combed through that whole gameplay reveal with a fine-tooth comb, and I still know very little about it. That's exciting, because it's like, damn, I went as deep as I could, and I'm still not at the bottom. But with some of these games, they just go surface level, like big moment. And for me, when it hurts, Cog, is when I don't know it's an end game shot, and then I see that scene that I saw in the trailer, and it almost pulls me half out of it. I'm like, oh, I saw that before. Dang, I wish I kind of saw that on my own. It's a hard balance to walk, because again, you don't want to spend a ton of money on marketing, right? You don't want to invest like, go draw this picture, go make this scene that's not even going to be in the game at all, right? Because you want to sell what's going to be in the game, but you want to show the high moments that are hype, and you got to build up to those. And you're not going to show someone like strolling around in a street corner, right? You're going to show the big explosions, the gunplay, the pivotal emotional moments, that type of stuff. So I understand both sides, especially internally, like as we're working towards that. It's like, yeah, like we don't want to just make a ton of new shit to market our game. We kind of want to use what's there and let it sell itself. But I think there's a fine line you got to walk, where like your mechanics, your characters should invoke something in the potential player, I should say, where they want to know more, and you don't tell them much more. Just like the who's and what's on a bare bones level. I think you can do that. Like, I think of Octopath Traveler is like a really good example to me. Like, they put out a trailer for each of the 8 travelers leading the launch, kind of just a basic premise. Like, here's their backstory. Like, this is Oswald, and like he killed his family, and you're going to play as him and find out why and how this happened. It's like, okay. And it's like a quick 1-minute trailer. It's like, to me, that's how you market. You build intrigue, and I want to know the rest when I play the game, instead of like, here's Oswald and here's how his story ends, and you can play the game February 25th. It's like, why did you just that, man? So I'm more on Steven's side of, I understand, but I can't stand when things are spoiled for me, especially when it's unknowingly done. Like, ignorance is bliss. I'm like, yo, that was hype. And like in Fallout 4, you get to that moment, you go, that wasn't a side quest. That was the whole ass end game. And it was every ending you saw it in. It's like, shit.
No, bro. The valid point. I think, again, gun to my head, I would prefer not to be spoiled. And a funny last point I remember is, even though it's not game related, it's movie related. I remember, I'm such a big Silver Surfer fan, when he finally got a movie, right? It was garbage, Fantastic Four. Yeah. I was just so happy to see the silica, the CG. I thought he would look cool in it, right? And they showed all this show. I'm going through the Lincoln Tunnel. I'm like, oh my God, Silver Surfer look amazing in this. And all scenes were fire. I remember we went to the movie. I'm like, they literally showed all the fire scenes already from the trailer in the movie. And that was majority of what was fire. Like, it was maybe one or two more scenes. I'm like,
that's why I don't watch movie trailers anymore, man. I see the title card and I'm like, all right, I'm in or I'm out. I know that sounds so ignorant, but I think movies are the fucking worst with that. They're the worst, man. Everything. And when I see movies doing multiple trailers, I'm like, you can put together the entire plot and the ending before it even comes out. I'm like, that's insane to me.
Insane. Yep, giving it away. So I definitely understand that sentiment. And like I said, when it's something I love, I prefer to just get nuggets and then rock out. I know why marketing is doing it. Yeah, I get 100%. It. You're selling. But me personally, with something I love, I prefer the little.
Absolutely. So, Cog, that's it for the show, man. It was a great episode. We had a lot to get into.
This is fire.
The hashtag, man, it's gotta be something with this deal, right? It's gotta be something.
Yeah, it's gotta be something with the deal.
Nvidia, Nintendo. Did we just salute Brad Smith? A little Brad Smith DD.
But what was the quote he said? Yeah. Contract. I don't know.
But he had the blank contract, and he said like,
blank contract.
Sony hasn't signed this.
Yeah. I want to like play off of that whole the theatrics of that foolishness. Like, you're on stage, like, we got it here. We're waiting for you.
Give you like envelope DD if you want. Like, is he pulled out the envelope and he's like, hey,
yes,
in here, nothing.
I like that. I like envelope DD. Yeah, he had it ready. Yeah. Like, it was a stage problem. This was a performance by Brad Smith. Like, this man was trying to set the world on fire with his theatrics.
It really was. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, you got this deep. You want to let us know, use the hashtag envelope DD. Let us know your thoughts. I'm curious to see how many you spell envelope right. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you listening. We're looking forward to seeing your thoughts. I'm at G27status on Twitter. That's at Lord Cognito. You can tweet at us using the hashtag envelope DD. Let us know your thoughts on the episode and everything that's happened with Xbox this week. And then, Cog, that's it for us, man. That's it. Another one in the books, as you would say.
Jump on the plane, see the LSF fan. Make sure you say hi, whatever. I'm going to represent the fan well. My man Manny Plays holding it down. And then we got more Duke and more fly stuff coming. Indeed. I'm excited.
So enjoy the event, my friend. Everyone else who is attending, please have fun. And maybe you'll find like a cardboard cutout of me there or something like that. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, take great care of yourselves, and we will see you next week for episode 113 of Defining Duke and Xbox Podcast. Peace out.
Peace.
Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand LLC, and is recorded from the United States of America. The show is conceived by Matthew Mr. Matty Plays Schroeder and me, Colin Moriarty, and is written and produced by Matthew Schroeder. Matty's co-host is Barry Lord Cognito Eversley. Defining Duke's executive producer is Dustin Furman, and the show is edited by associate producer Ben Smith. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's shows, including Defining Duke, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer support level on Patreon, and we're thankful for your kindness and generosity.